Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has awakens powerful jutsu from Minato scroll part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Chidori! A young boy with long, white hair, gray skin and red eyes screamed, standing next to a waterfall, letting his voice echo throughout a forest. Grapha! Another young boy with unruly blonde hair, cerulean blue eyes and unique whisker marks on his cheeks yelled, being pierced by the black lightning torrent right through his chest, very close from directly hitting his heart. The scene was a horrifying sight. The dark fighter stood with one arm through his enemy, and the other part holding his enemy's right shoulder, locking him in place, just waiting for the blonde to cry and beg him for mercy, or once again to beg him return to the village he just defected from, Konoha. The village hidden in the leaf, a place he despised. It was a pathetic piece of land, full of weaklings, crybabies and annoying banshees. The boy, a young Uchiha called Sasuke, got a very tempting offer from the leader of the village hidden in the sound, Orochimaru. An offer to train him, give him the power he longs for and deserves, to be able to finally avenge his clan and wipe out the bane of his existence, Itachi Uchiha. Of course though, the village and the Godame Hokage, Tsunade Senju, had a problem with him leaving and sent out a group of ninja to retrieve him. Namely Shikamaru, Chuji, Kiba, Niji, Rock Lee and Naruto. While the most ninja were distracted by the elite of Orochimaru, the Sound 4, Naruto followed Sasuke to the fated place they are now standing at, the Valley of the End. Between the stone eyes of the Shodame Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and the first Uchiha, Madara, now 2 genin stood, or rather one, while the other one was still lifted in the air by a now non-electrified hand. Sasuke was surprised by the amount of power the supposed dead last had, especially after he formed a Rasengan and used Kyuubi's chakra, turning him into a fierce, animalistic warrior. Though still, the self-proclaimed Avenger was in for the biggest surprise yet. Naruto slowly lifted his gaze to look into the traitor's red Sharingan eyes, and much to the Uchiha's surprise, Naruto didn't cry, or beg for anything or just instantly died. No, he smiled. The only more surprising thing than that was the words that he muttered hoarsely. Thank you? The warrior in his curse-marked second state was briefly speechless, but then answered. For what, Dobe? For ending my existence. Even with a venomous seal poisoning his thoughts, the traitor was visibly surprised by his answer. The hyperactive idiot, with his eternally lasting, shit-eating grin, was grateful that somebody killed him? Said Knucklehead interrupted his thoughts. I have finally fulfilled my purpose. Everyone back in Konoha made it very clear that I'm worth nothing. I'm not allowed to eat, to be trained, and certainly not to be liked, loved, or appreciated. He then tilted his head a bit downwards, and coughed up a little load of blood, which landed on the floor. With his last ounce of power, he looked back into the Avenger's eyes, with tears forming in his eyes, and an even brighter, grateful smile on his face, while a free-flowing line of blood left his mouth. I hate this village as much as it hates me, and I am finally able to let go. The only thing that makes me happier than to die is knowing that you'll pass out from chakra exhaustion, and someone will drag you back to this hellhole. Congrats, you deserve each other. Everyone will be relieved. Kakashi has Noon that expects to be trained every day, Sakura won't have me begging her for dates, and you won't have me standing in your way. You'll never have to endure the pranking demon dead last anymore. Sorry for bothering you all with my existence. His last words would be something the Uchiha would not forget, while Naruto looked deeper into his eyes, and placed his hand on the Avenger's shoulder in an almost brotherly way. These words were, Thank you, Sasuke. Today, you turned the world into a truly happier place. Not able to endure the sight any longer, especially seeing the severity of his gaping wound and his already deadly blood loss, Sasuke pulled out his hand, letting Naruto fall backwards, straight down the waterfall. This is the end. The last thing Naruto felt was the air running through his hair, and the water splashing around him. After looking a last time into his rival's eyes, he closed his peacefully. Hold your breath and count to 10. Sasuke watched the lifeless body of his former teammate accelerate towards the lake at the bottom of the Valley of the End. He dropped to his legs, and clutched his hair. Feel the earth move and then hear my heart burst again. His now aching red Sharingan eyes released a few tears, while he continued to watch the corpse of the blonde flow down together with the waterfall. For this is the end. I've drowned and dreamed this moment. The body of the Jinchuriki, seemingly in a deep slumber, painted the water from the cascade red, coating him more and more in his own, now watery blood, until he landed into the lake with a resonating splash sound. So overdue, I owe them. Swept away, I'm stolen. His body went down the lake without a single move. His mind was already blank, his senses dull. The only thing holding him barely alive was Kyuubi, but the struggle against water was almost pointless. Let the sky fall, when it crumbles, we will stand tall, and face it all together. An unknown force dragged him into a little cave-like hole at the bottom of the lake. Meanwhile, Sasuke felt himself succumbing to the chakra exhaustion, and passed out, lying beside the torrent of water. Let the sky fall, when it crumbles, we will stand tall, and face it all together. At Skyfall, in the forest nearby, a few minutes ago. Come on, Pakin, we have to go faster! A gray-haired, masked man yelled, while running towards the direction his summon told him to go to. I'm going as fast as I can, Kakashi, the dog summon yelled back. Then, a terrifying noise filled the man's ears. Very faintly in the distance, he could hear the chirping sound of 1,000 birds. No, Kami, please let me be on time. Please, he thought while running even faster. Then, he reached the place destined for the boy's encounter. Very easily, even through all the rain, he could spot the long, white hair of his former student. Running over to him, he saw it was the by Orochimaru's curse-sealed deformed, and now unconscious body of Sasuke Uchiha. He seems to have nothing serious besides his chakra exhaustion, so he's just unconscious. Kakashi muttered, checking the boy's body for any injury and feeling his pulse. The copy ninja turned towards his summon, and saw his sad, downcast face. He knew what that meant, but he didn't want to believe it. Pakken, where is he? I can smell a strong scent of his blood, meaning he bled a lot. His trace leads down the waterfall. Kakashi immediately went to look down the waterfall, and saw the sickening pool of blood spreading into all directions of the lake and down the river. Shining to the side of the lake, he looked into it, stuffing his face into the water. But besides a cloud of Naruto's blood, he couldn't find him. His summon followed him, and spoke. Kakashi, I have no trace of him, and this blood is already a few minutes old, and it leads down the river. At this point he died from blood loss or drowned because of the river's pressure and speed, and his body is already out of our reach. I'm sorry. Kakashi stood up, took the body of Sasuke, and walked back to Konoha, an empty gaze plastered on his face, while he dispelled his summon. Knowing that Sasuke was fine besides a few bruises, Kakashi was in no real rush to reach Konoha. He silently cried for the student that failed and now was placed on his shoulder, and a student he failed and was now already far away, his corpse unfound. I'm sorry, sensei, I am a failure. Konoha, a few days later. Noise everywhere. That was the current situation in front of the Konoha gates. Everyone was loudly discussing about the three still missing ninja of the leaf, Sasuke, Kakashi and Naruto. Though most concern was for the first two. Only of the remainders of the Konoha 11 and their senseis, the Konohamaru Corps, Iruka, Jiraiya, the Hokage and her friend Shizen talked about Naruto. Even though he annoyed them all, close to the point of insanity, he had a place in all their hearts. 2 days earlier, Lee, Niji, Chuji and Kiba were returned to the village. Kiba and Lee only had minor injuries, while Niji and Chuji both were in critical condition because of their intense fights, and Chuji especially for the use of the Akimichi red pill. Due to a medicine developed by Tsunade though, even he could survive and was currently able to recover in the hospital, along with the others. Guys, look, someone is coming. A bun-haired girl called Tenten yelled to everyone, quickly getting their attention to focus on the distant figure closing in. After a while everyone noticed it was Kakashi. Immediately, everyone ran into his direction, noticing that he appeared to have all time in the world. When they reached him, everyone's gaze went to the limp figure on Kakashi's shoulder. Their eyes, particularly of the Sannin, Ino and Sakura widened in horror. That's, Sakura began in a whisper. Sasuke-kun, Ino finished in a similar quiet voice. Is he alright, Kakashi-sensei? It's only because of this curse mark he looks like that, right? Sakura said in a desperate voice. Kakashi did not even bother to answer her, to even look at her. His empty gaze just went straight forward, his legs carrying him to the hospital without a hurry. Yes, but you need to accept the mark before it can fully transform you. Whatever Sasuke did, he did it with his own free will. Jiraiya explained to the group of now 2 silent civilians, the Konoha 11 and the other ninja. Kakashi, where's Naruto-kun? The Hokage's assistant Shizen asked. Hearing the name made Kakashi wince slightly, but he still walked forwards, whispering to himself. First Obito, now him. Guy, Kurenai and Asuma immediately knew what that meant, and looked down onto the ground, closing their eyes in silent sympathy. Kakashi, Tsunade repeated, but already had an idea what his silence and visible depression meant, though she did not want to believe it. Kakashi gave the body of Sasuke to a few medics which then took off to the hospital. The civilians and other shinobi already went home, disgusted by the fact that Sasuke wasn't influenced, but actually intended to defect to a known enemy of Konoha on his own free will. Kakashi briefly turned to the remaining Konoha 11, their senseis, Jiraiya, Iruka, the Hokage and her assistant, and shook his head, a clear message behind it. No, that can't be. Nisan can't be dead. Konohamaru cried while hugging his friends Moegi and Udan, which were crying as well. Everyone was dead silent, not wanting to believe the news. Sakura felt sick and held her stomach protectively, with Ino doing the same thing. Tenten went to hug her sensei, who could only lay a comforting hand on her shoulder. Hinata burst out in silent tears. Iruka, Jiraiya and Shizen were all on the verge of tears as well, while Tsunade had no visible reaction at all. Though on the inside, everyone besides Iruka, Hinata and Shizen felt truly devastated not only for his death, but also knowing how they treated him. The Jounin senseis never took him seriously, yet alone trained him properly. Tenten, along with all of Konoha 11, even those in hospital, never really accepted him or his skills, besides Lee, who treated him as a rival, and Shikamaru, Shino and Shuj, who treated him neutrally, and Hinata, who was too shy to speak to him. Sakura, Ino and Tsunade always, whenever he went onto their nerves with a silly joke, asking for a date in Sakura's case, or in general begging for attention, punched him into his head and sent him flying into a random direction. Now though, everyone missed his foxy smile and loud voice. Sakura-chan, don't worry, I'll bring back Sasuke, whatever it takes. That's my promise of a lifetime, and I never go back on my word. That's my ninja way, whatever it takes. Why did you have to take that so seriously, idiot? Sakura cried silently, while Ino went to her and hugged her for comfort. No, Naruto-kun, Hinata thought in mute despair. Ino, tell your father to come to Sasuke's room in the prison part of the hospital tomorrow at 8 in the morning. The Godame Hokage ordered in a forced calm voice, masking her emotions. Hi, Hokage-sama. Ino choked out. Tsunade Jiraiya started, but was interrupted by her. You Jiraiya, go to him immediately. You have to counter his curse mark, and try to lock it away. She ordered. But are you? That's an order, Jiraiya. Nodding silently in defeat and sighing, Jiraiya went after the medics and Sasuke. Wait, Tsunade-sama, Shizen said in hurried, and still sobbing voice. But it was too late. In a swirl of leaves she disappeared, leaving everyone behind to their thoughts. Then, for the first time, they heard Kakashi's voice. I would suggest everyone goes home and rests, preferably with a friend or with your parents. I will talk to the Hokage about a funeral for Naruto soon. The word funeral caused Ino, Sakura, Hinata and the Konohamaru Corps to choke out a loud sob, nearly causing them to vomit. Kakashi then, too, left in a swirl of leaves. Hokage Tower. If someone would now stand in front of the Hokage room, he or she would hear three noises: the sound of glass hitting something, sounds of gulping, and sounds of sniffing and sobbing. The Godame Hokage engaged in her favorite activity, drinking sake like a black hole. The sobbing woman already lost persons precious to her. She thought she had gotten used to that. Her lover and her brother already died, and she thought that made her strong. But now, the blonde hyperactive prankster, her reason to believe in the will of fire again, the reason she was sitting in this office, was gone, forever. And what did she do? She wasn't strong enough to just accept it and proceed with her life. No, she barely even managed to escape the others without crying her eyes out. The moment she entered her office, though, her water gates broke as much as she broke. She looked at the picture on her table from the time she was retrieved by Naruto and Jiraiya. In the middle of Tsunade and Shizen, Naruto stood there with his painfully bright grin while making a peace symbol with his hand, while Jiraiya openly watched her breasts. Why Gaki, why did you have to leave me, your Bachan? She muttered to herself. The first time without asking for permission, Shizen entered the office of the Hokage and went straight for Tsunade. Immediately she spun around in her chair to look outside her window, asking, What are you doing here, Shizen? I have work to do and sake to drink. She formulated with a few sniffs in between her words. Wordlessly, Shizen walked over to her and turned back her chair, so that the surprised Hokage looked her in the watery but determined eyes. And then she hugged her. Hugged her as tightly as humanly possible. What? Shut up, Tsunade. That surprised her even more. Shizen never dared to be disrespectful to her, either by just walking in nor, especially not, by talking to her like that. She interrupted her thoughts. I know you're hurt. You are as everybody else is. So stop trying to do this on your own. Noon should endure something like this alone. You already did twice too often. Shizen explained while crying her eyes out. Tsunade struggled half-heartedly at first, but eventually hugged back and cried deep into Shizen's shoulder. Why? What did he ever do wrong? Why couldn't I die instead of him? An already broken soul in exchange for such a young and alive one. Don't say that, Tsunade. He wouldn't want to hear you say something like that. But I miss him already, Shizen. He is the reason I even am here. He never became Hokage. He saved my life and he saved my existence, and I did nothing in return for him. I just miss him, Shizen. I know, Tsunade, I do too. Valley of the End. Kit, wake up. Kit, huh? Oh, it's you, Kurama. Wait, what happened? I thought I'm dead. Apparently, someone saved you and dragged you into an underground cave. Currently, both your savior and I are healing you. You should wake up right now. And in that exact moment, he woke up, lying with his back on a stone ground, looking at the cave's wall. You mock me, Shinigami. I'm not even allowed to die now. Your time has yet to come, young shinobi. Following the voice, he saw the outline of a human-looking figure, although everything of this person glowed in a light blue color. He had long black hair, and wore a metal battle armor, colored red and black. His face was covered in strange green marks. Who are you? I am the protector of the temple ahead of you, the spirit of Hashirama Senju. Hashirama Senju? You mean the Shodame Hokage? Yes. When I was amongst the living, I built a hidden temple right here, at the Valley of the End. When the time comes, a descendant of a Hokage, or a Hokage himself should be sent out to find this temple with my knowledge in it. But I am neither the Hokage, nor the descendant of a Hokage. Yes, young one, you are. My spirit only comes to help one of those people. As far as I can read your bloodline, you're the son and therefore a descendant of the Yondaime Hokage and his wife, Kushina Uzumaki. I can see her bloodline in you too. The Yondaime is my father? The hero of Konoha is my father, and Noon bothered to tell me? Naruto shouted angrily at the ghost in front of him. Yes, young shinobi. You are a descendant, and therefore have access to my temple. I can say that you have an unawakened bloodline ability, which is called chakra chains. I can only tell you have it though. How to activate and use them, though, I cannot tell. This will be your responsibility. Now, do you wish to accept the knowledge from this temple? I must warn you, ahead of you lies a path of work and pain. The techniques here are difficult, and it takes a lifetime to perfect them. Do you understand? Maybe this is a good idea. After that, I can go somewhere else, and maybe build up a new life. Far away from Konoha. Yes, I understand. It's not like I have something to lose now anyways. Very well, follow me then. Hashirama said, and turned towards the entrance of the temple. Wait a second, Kit. I have something for you, Kyuubi said while spawning a scroll in front of Naruto. What's that? Naruto said, picking it up. Is that? Yes, Kit, it is. Awesome. Thanks 1,000 times, Kurama. And wait a second. What is it, Kit? Whenever I use your chakra, my eyes turn red and slitted, right? So could you please give me enough chakra so my eyes stay like that permanently? Very well, Kit. The Kyuubi said, while infusing Naruto with enough of his power to turn his eyes red and slitted. Since the amount of chakra needed was insignificant, the transformation was able to be held permanently. Thank you again, Kurama. Is something the matter? Are there any preparations you need to take? The ghost asked the now red-eyed Jinchuriki. Go ahead, I only have one more thing to do, Naruto said while Hashirama nodded, continuing to walk into the temple. Naruto took off his forehead protector, remembering the day Irika gave it to him. He had been so proud to have it given to him, but day after day, he felt more and more sick looking at the all-too-familiar sign. Taking a kunai, Naruto slashed through the Hittite, and put it on again, permanently signalizing his disconnection from his own personal hell. Konoha Hospital, Prison Wing. Good morning, I'm assigned to the room of Sasuke Uchiha. May I have your name, please? Inoichi Yamanaka. Ah, yes, Mr. Yamanaka. He's in room 321, down the corridor, the third door left. Thank you, ma'am. Inoichi followed his instructions and went to the room, where he was greeted by the sight of the Hokage and her assistant, Kakashi, Jiraiya, Irika and the whole of Konoha 11, with Sasuke instead of Naruto. Ah, hello Inoichi. I'm glad you could make it in time. The Hokage started. No problem, Hokage-sama. But what exactly is my task? Tsunade closed her eyes and breathed deeply once, and looked at the blue eyes of the Yamanaka clan head again. Whereas you can see, Sasuke was successfully retrieved from his defection. The whereabouts of Naruto are still unknown. We need to know exactly what happened in their fight. Thus, you will lead us through his memories, and show us the events. Inoichi nodded in understanding, and looked at his next target closely. He saw the empty look in his eyes, that ignored every movement, and every sound whatsoever, and simply gazed at the wall. Has anyone yet tried to talk to him? Inoichi asked curiously. Yes, we all did, but he's completely unresponsive. Since he has woken up, he hasn't spoken a single word, with none of us. Kakashi replied. And do you think you're in any physical shape to be here? From what I've heard you were pretty badly injured. Inoichi asked the now already standing Lee, Chuji, Kiba and Niji. Yash, my flames of youth are already burning again. Lee shouted in enthusiasm, causing everyone around him to sweat drop. Alright then. Everyone who wants to follow into his mind, please touch me or someone who already touches me. Everyone touched Inoichi, clearly interested in the events from the Valley of the End. Okay, then let's go. Mind transfer jutsu, the clan had told, while all of the bodies in the room went limp and followed him into Sasuke's mindscape. Now, everyone please stay with me. It may take a while until I find the correct memory. Inoichi informed everyone, who nodded in understanding. Here, I found one where Sasuke and Naruto seem to be in, and there is a fight. Let's go. The Mind Walker told the group of shinobi. Upon arriving in the memory, they saw a scene from not too long ago, Gaara in his giant Shikaku form. Though, it was surprising to see Naruto standing on a gigantic frog. What the hell is that thing? Kiba asked the stunned group. That's the Toad Boss summon, Gamabunta. I trained Naruto to summon him. Jiraiya told the group in response. Impressive that he was already able to do that. Tsunade muttered in awe, with everyone nodding. Then, they saw how Naruto landed a quite hard headbutt into Gaara's face, causing his sand defense to break, and the clawed grip on Sakura to do as well. Wait, he saved me? I thought that Sasuke-kun saved me. Sakura stuttered out. Well, it doesn't seem like that, Kakashi said while bowing his head down. Sakura knew how much she laughed at Naruto whenever he told her that he saved her. Now to find out that it actually was the truth, and she never got to thank him, left her heartbroken and sobbing. Ino, again, comforted her. Daddy, that's the wrong memory. Please find the real one. Yes, I'm already at it, sweetie. Inoichi answered, opening what he thought was the correct memory. Now, they actually found the correct memory, with Sasuke and Naruto panting, while Sasuke charged a black Chidori. After all the events from Chapter 1, the group was left behind speechless, everyone sulking for themselves. I think that's enough, the head Yamanaka whispered while transferring everyone back into the real world. After everyone, including Sasuke, had woken up from the mind reading, the room was filled with awkward silence and silent tears, openly shed by everyone except Niji, Shikamaru and Shino, who tried to compose themselves. Though, crying or not, everyone shared the same thought. I'm sorry, Naruto. I could have been there for you. My flames of youth have been extinguished. But for the sake of my eternal rival, Naruto-kun, I will let them burn brightly once again. Lee declared, though without his usual energy. I have failed. The first time as a leader, and I have failed. Shikamaru muttered to himself, gripping his hair while being comforted by Chuji. No, I have failed as a teacher. I favored Sasuke, hoping that he would not lose the already little connection he had to the village, and look where it brought us. I taught Sasuke an assassination technique he then used to kill his own comrade with. Obito was right, I betrayed my comrade, I am lower than trash. Kakashi muttered, sulking for himself. No, I have failed him. If I would have trained him better, he would be here now. I should have taken care of him, for Minato's sake. Jiraiya whispered to Noon in particular. We should have. Tsunade added. Minato's sake? What do you mean? And what was that about a demon Naruto talked about? Neji asked curiously, getting everyone's attention. Since he is dead, I guess there is no use in hiding it any longer. Tsunade started and sighed. The Kyuubi that attacked Konoha once was never killed by the Yondaime. He was sealed into his newborn son, Naruto. Noon was allowed to know that Naruto's father had many enemies, and that would have put him in great danger. If you ever wondered why Naruto was glared at, ridiculed, or even attacked, the Kyuubi is the reason. Everyone teared up even more at the added information, and thought of how they treated him, fully understanding where his impression that everybody would be relieved by his death would come from. And here I was, talking about my horrible destiny, Neji thought. Kiba meanwhile patted a whimpering Akamaru, Sakura, Ino, Tenten, Shizen, Hinata and Irika simply cried, while the others now made plans. Sasuke Uchiha Tsunade started, the name dripping with venom and turning to the still unmoving avenger for your crimes against Konoha and a Konoha shinobi. You will be sent into a prison for the rest of your life. Your chakra and Sharingan will be sealed eternally, and your mouth too, so Noon has to hear your traitorous voice ever again. Remember well how this hospital looks like, because this will be the last thing you see before your cell. Umbu! Tsunade roared as two masked shinobi appeared in a cloud of smoke. Take this traitorous, despicable, weak, snake-loving excuse of a shinobi into the deepest and best protected prison cell you can find. Seal his chakra, Sharingan and his mouth. Got it? Tsunade ordered, while the two Umbu nodded and took off with the arrested Uchiha. Hey, what happened to bro? His summoning contact broke. A suddenly appearing Gamakichi asked Jiraiya. Hello Gamakichi. We should go to Gamabunta together to talk about Naruto. I think he would like to know the whereabouts of Naruto as well. Jiraiya responded. Gamakichi picked up his sad tone and nodded, leaving together with Jiraiya in a puff of smoke. I have to go back to the academy. Irika said emotionlessly, not fully believing the situation. I will go to the memorial stone. Please Hokage-sama, don't assign me or Sakura with missions too soon. Tsunade nodded while Kakashi left. Yash, I will run 1,000 laps around Konoha, in honor of Naruto, Lee shouted while he already took off. I will train. I want to become strong like Naruto was. His Nindo will outlive on me. The shy Hyuga heiress exclaimed in tears, running home. Besides Sakura, Tsunade and Shizen, everybody else left, most without saying a word. He hates the village, Shizen. I was there the whole time. His love for the village brought me here and I couldn't figure out that he hated it. Tsunade said disbelievingly, to Shizen and to herself. I'm sorry, Tsunade-sama, I should have noticed as well. Shizen replied, Hokage-sama. Sakura began, getting the Hokage's attention. Please, make your apprentice. After I now lost Naruto-kun, him thinking that I didn't like him at all, I want to get stronger. I want to be strong enough to protect the people precious to me, so that something like that won't ever happen again. Tsunade thought for a moment, and nodded. I will make you suffer through the worst kind of pain ever, perhaps even worse than that one now. If you manage to survive that, then you will be my apprentice. Thank you, Hokage Shusho. I won't let you down. Konoha Cemetery, 1 week later. Hello, dear people of Konoha. Today, we say our goodbyes to a fellow comrade. Every person in this village had the honor of meeting, Naruto Uzumaki. Tsunade said, trying to hold in her own share of tears. This little kid was the fiercest personification of the will of fire I ever saw. He held an undying respect for this village and its ninja. Unfortunately, the constant hate from this village turned him into a depressed boy, who was happy to finally die and fulfill his purpose. Tsunade choked out as everyone turned their head down in shame. So at least in death, he shall get the honor and respect he deserves. Everyone will miss you. I will miss you, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the Yondaime and hero of Konoha. At least in death, he will be next to his parents, as I'm sure all of you wondered why Naruto is buried next to Minato and Kushina. The crowd now looked up in shock and disbelief, feeling more guilty of their past actions. Anyone who pants to pay his personal respects now, may do so. Tsunade announced, disappearing. I will never give up, and I-san. I will fulfill your dream to become the Hokage, and honor your name until my last day. Konohamaru said, dropping his goggles on Naruto's gravestone. Thank you for your support, Naruto-kun. You were the sunshine in my life, and I will never stop loving you. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you like you were for me. Hinata said sadly but without a stutter, placing down a picture of him in a heart-shaped case. I'm sorry how I always treated you, and how I always hate you. I can never forgive myself for that. Sakura said, placing an orange jacket from him on the stone. I will miss you, Gaki. You were the most amazing customer we had, in any possible sense. Bye, Naruto-kun, Tsuchi and Ayam said, placing an unopened bowl of Naruto's favorite ramen on the stone. I'm sorry, little one. I should have let you know from the start. Jiraiya said, leaving a family picture of Naruto and his parents. I am a failure of a sensei, and I will never be able to redeem myself for that. I'm sorry, Minato-sensei, I'm sorry, Naruto. Kakashi said, leading a picture of former Team 7. You were never a demon for me, and you will never be. Still, I could have protected you more, cared about you more and looked out for you. Bye, Naruto. Iruka said, leaving his Hittite. The second one he gave Naruto. You saved Tsunade-sama from herself, and I will never be able to repay you for that. But I will try to repay you. I will continue to look out for Tsunade-sama, and hopefully save her like you did, as well. Shizen whispered, leaving a picture of her pig Tuntun and Naruto, playing with the pig, behind. The other people from Konoha 11 left a few things as well. Shikamaru left his favorite shogi board, Chuji a bag of Naruto's favorite crisps, Tenten her most valuable kunai, Niji a poem he wrote about destiny after his fight with Naruto, Kiba the collar Naruto gave Kiba AMD Akamaru for his birthday, the one he never thanked him for, Shino a part of his strongest bug hive, Ino a bouquet of her longest surviving flowers, and Lee his first Scream spandex sway. Meanwhile, the crowd slowly left the graveyard, not wanting to interfere with the peace of the dead anymore. After a few minutes, a busted woman with a bottle of expensive sake went to his grave again, and kneeled in front of it, letting tears flow down her cheeks. I would have loved to drink a couple of those with you one day, Gaki. Now, I will never get the chance. You have changed my life in a way I never thought someone could, not even Jiraiya could. I am truly devastated that you died, thinking you weren't important to me, but next to Shizen AMD Jiraiya, you were the most important person on this world for me, and I will forever hate myself for you dying and thinking otherwise. Goodbye, Naruto-kun. The blonde woman told, while as if on cue, it started to rain. Thankfully, Jiraiya made a little protection seal, so that the rain didn't sweep away the objects of memorial. Hashirama's temple, a week ago, right after Naruto's arrival. Whoa, this place is huge, and it's all underwater? Naruto asked in awe, seeing the giant, mostly wooden temple, with dragons and other paintings covering its insides. Yes, young shinobi, I made sure to leave behind a temple worth a Hokage. Hashirama's spirit said, while he frowned upon seeing Naruto's forehead protector. Is there a specific reason why your headband has a slash? Yes, because I was hated my whole life from Konoha because of the Kyuubi sealed in me, and a dead person not even living in Konoha tells me who my parents are for the first time. I have no connection at all to this village anymore. There are very few people from Konoha I still care about, but that's it. Hashirama thought of his words, and then sighed. I'm sorry to hear that, young shinobi. I myself only ever had the pleasure to have one great enemy, Madara Uchiha, but an entire village is something different. Naruto sneered in response. Yeah, problems always seem to start with an Uchiha. Hashirama's spirit snickered a bit, and decided to take his first action. Well, young shinobi, first of all, I want you to wear a more subtle type of clothing, so goodbye, orange. Hashirama said, snapping his fingers and letting Naruto watch himself in a mirror. He marveled seeing his new clothes. The Jinchuriki now had a nose-sleeved black and gray shirt, black battle pants, black gloves and a black mask to cover his entire face and his whisker marks, only leaving anything above his nose free, where his forehead was covered by his /Konoha headband. A/N. I thought of his outfit to look like the outfit from the Shadow Triad from Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. Wow, that's cool, thank you for that. No problem, young shinobi. Hashirama wanted to continue, but noticed a familiar piece of jewelry around Naruto's neck, immediately causing his eyes to widen. That's my necklace. Where did you get that from? Naruto, too, noticed he still had that present from Tsunade tied around his neck. Oh, that? It was a present from Tsunade Senju. I guess she's a descendant of you. She's the Godame Hokage. Wow, at last we are back on the throne of Konoha. Yeah. Hey, the Hokage knows about everyone's family from the village, right? Yes, without any exceptions. So she knew, too, and didn't tell me. Naruto said bitterly, looking at the green crystal around his neck, stuffing it into his shirt. Once again I am sorry, that my own kindred would fall so low. Even though I can sense your honesty, I still don't believe it. Though, that is not the reason you're here. So, let us start with the teachings. Naruto nodded determinedly, when he noticed 4 fine pieces of metal hanging on the wall. You are a performer of kenjutsu? Naruto asked curiously. Hashirama turned to see the 4 long katanas on the wall, and turned back to Naruto, nodding. Yes, in my early days I usually wielded a sword and especially worked in sync with nature. Due to my Woodkekkei Genkai, I had a natural connection with the wildlife. Can you teach me that? Kenjutsu and everything with nature and wildlife. It sounds very interesting. Very well, young shinobi. When fighting as a part of nature, you can vary between open fighting, using every tool you can find, or working in stealth, and attacking with swords rather than anything noisy. I will pick you the necessary scrolls for that. They are the following: Basic and Advanced Kenjutsu Stances and Techniques, 1 and 2 Sword Style, Stealth and Infiltration Scroll, Basic and Advanced Fuinjutsu, Tools of the Hunt. Please pick 2 swords, young shinobi, so you can train 1 as well as 2 sword style techniques. 2 Okay. Naruto said and went to the swords, but suddenly remembered a thought from earlier. Hey, can you maybe give me 4 holsters? I can take all of the swords, right? Hashirama nodded. Of course you can, feel free to take them. But you have to beware those swords, they are dangerous. It is as if they have their own mind, they use aggression and amplify it, but I never understood why. Always think with a clear head while using them. Alright, thanks. Naruto replied in joy, while he stuffed 2 swords into the holsters on his back, so the hilts pointed into the sky, prepared for later use, and took 2 of the swords into his hands, leaving the holsters on each side of his hips empty, while he felt thrilled for his lesson. So, rule 1 of Kenjutsu: those swords are your life, never lose them. Temple of Hashirama. Hey Kurama, one more thing. Can you color my hair red like my eyes? With that blonde hair, someone might recognize me once I'm out of here, even with the mask. Yes, Kit, I can do that, and by the way, you maybe noticed that your senses are heightened a lot. That's because of your eyes. You can control the chakra flow into them yourself. It works like a dojutsu, even if it isn't one. Perfect, thank you, Kurama. Alright, young shinobi, your lessons will start. First of all, the swords you have are special. They can be more powerful and will glow red if you want to, but you will lose control of yourself in the process. You can regain it, but the more powerful your swords are, the harder it is to regain full control. In the beginning you will hear whispers, but those whispers turn into real voices, and then screams, asking for blood. Noon has ever yet lost control entirely, so I can't tell you what happens then. Legends tell that a demon lives in there, and fights an eternal battle for control, which Noon ever won or lost. Naruto nodded in understanding and carefully inspected the swords he already had in his hands. He almost felt their power and potential, and he would try to remember the immense threat. Though, he was no stranger to holding in aggression. Now, there are 2 main stances and styles I want you to focus on. They are called Shurin and Sorisu. Shurin is an offensive, and Sorisu a defensive stance. As a ninja in general, you should be flexible and able to adapt to anything the enemy might throw at you. You can find the stances in your Kenjutsu scroll, and how you counter attacks or deflections by your enemy. You may start with them. Okay, Tajukaiga Bunshin no Jutsu, Multiple Shadow Clone Jutsu. Guys, you will train those sword stances here from the scroll, and the fighting styles in general. Got it? Got it! The clones yelled in unison. I see you already found out the secret of the clones, I'm impressed. Yeah, on a mission, I found out that I remembered everything my clone did, even though I wasn't actually there. So I figured that something was special with them. Very well, the stances are the center of your training, so it's good that the clones start with them. Another central point is that you learn to infuse your blades with elemental chakra. They will get stronger like that, without the drawback the sword's powers give you. Okay, then I will show you a few Kenjutsu techniques. The first one is the Animal Blade. Animal Blade is a general name, as every person has to find its own animal or creature it can sync best with. There was once a very powerful ninja which used a dragon, and therefore had the Dragon Blade. You have to take animals from the wildlife you have the best connection with, and focus on it, pleading for its strength. An animal spirit will come and help you. This technique is perfect to gain the upper hand in the beginning of a battle, since it enhances your strength and speed, but it constantly drains your chakra, and therefore should not be used throughout the whole fight. Do you think you know what your spirit may be? I have a good connection to the Kyuubi, and since it actually is something like a wild fox, I guess I will make it the Fox Blade. Really, kid? You want to beg to me for power even more often? Taunted the demon, snickering, even though he was happy a bit. Very well then. Focus yourself onto the spirit of the Kyuubi, its voice, sound and how it looks like, and plead it to aid you and your sword, while pumping chakra into it. Then you swirl it like that A/N. Imagine how Genji from Overwatch does it when he ults, and in your case, say Kitsune no Ken Wakuri A/N. How I understood it, it means, the fox becomes me. Then you have the one sword style, Fox Blade. Naruto nodded and created shadow clones, instructing them with the technique and to practice it. The next technique is perfect for attacking a big mass of people at once, but it leaves you very open for attacks until you charge it, and you will have to have someone cover you in a fight so that you can use it. It is called two-sword style, twin sword slash. Infuse the swords with your elemental chakra briefly after you slashed with them, and you let a wall of your element follow it. This should be used when covered or at an extreme advantage, because of how open you are before the use. Naruto nodded, and instructed another group of clones to do the task. Alright, that is enough Kenjutsu, the other techniques can be learned at another time. The stealth and hunting training will be done when you have a bit of experience with the swords. Now, we will do a few seals that will come in handy, as they are either practical in everyday life, like storage or gravity seals, or seals which can be devastating weapons, such as explosive and fire seals. Please, let's sit down, so you can practice the seals. Naruto sat down in preparation for his Fuinjutsu training. A year later, throughout the whole temple, the dominating sound was metal on metal, together with the sound of air being cut, and an occasional clone being dispelled. Gracefully swapping between Shurin and Sorisu, Naruto currently fought against 4 shadow clones with only one sword. Kitsun no Ken Wakuri! Naruto yelled while swinging his sword, while a smaller, entirely red version of the Kyuubi swirled around the sword, roaring, and disappeared quickly afterwards. Meanwhile, Naruto started to continuously slash through his clones, dispelling them one by one, until only a squad on the other side of the temple hall was left, which closed in on him. Naruto drew his second sword, and stood still for a few seconds, breathing in and out. The moment the clone squad nearly reached him, he opened his red-eyed, and seemingly jumped through his opponents, his swords pointing outwards like wings. Then directly behind him, a visible wall of wind followed, slicing through the clones and throwing them into all directions, dispelling them. Seeing that his spar was successful, he dropped the swords, letting them slide into their hilts, and he breathed out, lying down. You fought well, young shinobi. Meet me at this gate there in half an hour, Hashirama said, while Naruto nodded. Naruto went into his assigned room, a simple chamber with a bed and a wardrobe for clothes or weapons. The Jinchuriki prepared his normal kunai, his kunai with several seals, and prepared to go to the mysterious gate at the eastern side of the temple, while he thought about his past in Konoha. Admittedly, he did miss a few of the people who actually didn't do him wrong at all. The Ichirakus, which always treated him kindly, Lee, which was the most optimistic and kind ninja he ever met, and the Konohamaru Corps. Then, he remembered the bad memories. The rest of the Konoha 11, which either ignored or ridiculed him, all the older villagers which thought of him as the demon, and the older ninja, which did not tell him that he was the Yandame's son. Even for Irika, he apparently was enough of a demon to not be worthy knowing about Biz's parents. Eventually, his thoughts also shifted to the current Hokage. He had to admit that she was, hands down, the most beautiful woman he has ever met in his entire life. True, he thought Sakura was very pretty once, but Tsunade was downright gorgeous. Yes, it was only a genjutsu to hide her actual body, but still, she looked breathtaking once in her life. Even though he saved her together with Jiraiya, and he thought of her as something like her grandmother, she strode into office with his help, and basically behaved like a stronger Sakura, though he only wanted someone to talk to. Tsunade had her share of emotional scars as well, and he thought it would be the best to talk to her, thinking they had something in common. Apparently, to her he was the same as he was to anyone else. A nuisance, a demon with a purpose, but not with rights. Why, Bachan? I thought I was at least someone to you. I thought you could become one of my precious persons. Naruto thought, as his hands shook in rage, holding his sword tightly. Take revenge, a voice whispered. Naruto looked around, but couldn't spot the source of the voice. Who's there? Show yourself, Naruto said, going into his Sorisu stance. Let me still your bloodlust, Naruto. The voice whispered again, then Naruto realized it came from the sword. Looking at it, Naruto briefly had faint visions of fighting, burning villages, and blood around him, and heard the whispers of the sword to let it go. For a millisecond he thought about it, but quickly shook his head and dispelled the thoughts from his mind. Note to myself, don't think about Tsunade, Naruto thought, jokingly, picked up his tools, and took off to the gate. Konoha Cemetery. The currently kneeling woman sneezed, but looked back to the grave, reminiscing about the person that now slowly, ultimately became the most important person in her life. Ironically, she realized how much of a sunshine this particular person was more and more every day after he died. The never-ending source of inspiration became her inspiration, and she wanted to honor his work and his wishes, even though in the end, he lost his love for this village. Hey Gaki, how is it up there? I hope you were finally able to meet your parents, they were wonderful people. You left quite an impression on a few people. Shizen actually asked to be trained again by me, she wants to be in her best form all the time, so that no one ever dies again on her watch. Jiraiya started to write stories where you get a whole harem for yourself, so that he can honor you in death. No, I haven't become a second Erosenin and read his books, but he won't stop talking about it, not even when I hit him with all my power. Tsunade chuckled, remembering the numerous occasions this happened. She then sighed, and looked intently at his name. Me too. I know that I will never be as good a Hokage as you would have been, but I try my best. Wherever you are, please know that we miss you, Gaki, that I miss you. Very reluctantly, the busty Hokage stood up and went to her office. Wow, how's that hidden under the earth? Naruto asked in awe, seeing the gigantic forest on the other side of the gate. It is a forest artificially, and only created for the purpose of training stealth and hunting, and that's exactly what we will do now. Please, find yourself an animal and try to catch it, it's not important which one. Then you have to touch its head and imagine to talk to it, while you pump chakra from your hand into the head of the animal. Each animal has its own destined amount and speed with which you have to work, so every animal is different to hunt. Tamed animals can command others from their kindred, and be commanded by you. Very briefly, you can obtain the abilities of those animals by compressing your chakra coils onto the level the animals are. This is incredibly dangerous, since it is very physically painful and can permanently destroy your chakra coils. But you can do it longer, the better your connection with the animal is. Every skill you use with animals is a tool of the hunt technique. To effectively accomplish this, stealth is a good friend. I will teach you an incredibly strong stealth technique now, since it basically improves whenever you use it. Please close your eyes and feel the nature, every movement, every sound and every smell it emits. Naruto was surprised by the very vague task, but nevertheless breathed in deeply, closed his eyes, and focused all of his remaining senses onto his surroundings. Remember every movement very carefully, try to view it like a rhythm, and let the chakra flow through your body similarly. Naruto did as instructed, and slowly turned very transparent, until he was nearly invisible. Open your eyes slowly, don't lose focus. Hashirama instructed, now whispering. Naruto opened his eyes slowly, and looked at himself, noticing that he was nearly invisible. More transparent than water, but not 100%. Wow, that's so cool. Naruto said, looking at himself from all angles. Yes, excellent. It is not perfect yet, but you will learn that with time and practice. This technique is called Thrill of the Hunt, and it's ideal to learn how to hunt, and then tame an animal. Now, please catch an animal and tame it. And how am I supposed to catch a wild animal? Naruto asked incredulously. Hashirama Senju looked at him amused and spoke, figure it out. Leaving Naruto alone. Okay, wild animal. I have Kyuubi's enhanced senses, this should help. Naruto remembered, looking around for a fitting animal. About 100 meters away from him, there was an eagle sitting on a cliff towering over the forest. The Kyuubi's container analyzed his situation, and saw that he had to climb up the cliff. Alrighty, it's an eagle, so he might see me, but it would mean I could fly with the tools of the hunt technique once I have him. Naruto thought while approaching the wild animal, which currently did not look into his direction. The cloaked ninja was almost caught after he had stepped on a tree branch, which caused the eagle to turn into the direction of the sound's origin. Shoot, gotta be more careful, the hunter thought, walking up the cliff using the tree climbing logic, the only shinobi technique Kakashi taught him. After he reached the top, he only stood a few meters in front of the eagle, who seemed to still look into his direction. With every step Naruto closed into the bird, its gaze seemed to get more suspicious. Then, after a few more steps, Naruto stood directly in front of the graceful predator, slowly reaching out to grab it around its whole body. And then, it happened. The bird's wings flapped, and it flew away. Knowing that the stealth game was now over, Naruto dissolved his invisibility, and ran after the retreating bird, while gradually running up the trees. He hopped from treetop to treetop, but the eagle was obviously higher in the air. Damn it, how do I get you? Naruto thought, and suddenly got an idea. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he shouted, creating a solid copy of himself which ran beside him on the treetops. Naruto gripped the clone's arms and vice versa, and then the clone threw Naruto into the air, now on a level with the eagle. In midair, Naruto grabbed the bird with all his might, and then started falling. Conveniently, there was a lake where he landed, so that his fall was not as hard. Rising up, he went onto the side of the lake, trying to keep the thrashing eagle in his grip. Now, what did he say? Touch head, imagine to talk with it, pump chakra. Naruto did as he was instructed, but realized why Hashirama warned him about the different amounts and speeds of chakra necessary. On his first try, the eagle bit him into the finger after screeching loudly. Seeing Naruto's pain, the eagle seemed to do something similar to snickering. So you think that's funny, little birdie? Naruto said as the eagle stopped. Well then, we'll see how you like this. Naruto continued, trying the taming process over and over again. After some time, he heard a voice speak in his head. God, are you finished yet? Naruto stared disbelievingly at the eagle, realizing the voice came from him. Wait a minute, you can talk? Hey, and here I was believing you weren't able to think. Shut up. But does that mean I tamed you now? Tamed? Ha, don't make me laugh. Though I admit, I am impressed that you are able to contact me, so your persistence intrigues me. So I can use your abilities now? Sigh, yes you can. I must say you at least piqued my interest, for no human ever was able to communicate with me, and there were few in the outside world that tried. While this place is artificial, I am not, and someone in here contacting me means that I can leave this place again. Oh sweet, I have a pet. Naruto exclaimed in joy. Grr, don't call me that, brat. Do you have a name? Yes, my name is Chuzai. The eagle introduced. Hello Chuzai, I'm Naruto. Naruto replied. Now that we have exchanged pleasantries, a suddenly appearing Hashirama said, I must say I'm very proud of you, young shinobi. You have successfully tamed an eagle, and therefore have access to his abilities and his kindred, and no other possible hunter is able to command them. Congratulations. Thanks, master. Naruto bowed with respect. From this day forward, you will sharpen your abilities, and learn a few more of the Kenjutsu techniques. This was one of your most important steps in your training. 2 years later, Naruto is 17, Tsunade is 55. Do you have forgotten anything, young shinobi? The swords, the scrolls and the storage seals, my clothes are on me, and my eagle on my side. Nope, everything's here. Naruto replied, smiling foxily. He may be despised his village of origin, but the happiness and cheerfulness towards his precious people hasn't changed at all. Yes, you have. There is one more thing I want to give to you. Hashirama said, handing over a scroll to Naruto. Naruto inspected the scroll closer and widened his eyes in surprise. Wood style techniques. Master, are you sure? I mean, I don't have your Kekkei Genkai. Yes, I am. I have no use for them anymore, and I know you enough to know that you are the best descendant of my legacy. Maybe you won't have my Abelites, but to know you have my knowledge is enough. Naruto, beaming at the praise and hearing his master call him by his name for the first time, he bowed and said, Thank you a lot, master. I will honor your knowledge until I made my last breath. I know that, Naruto. Goodbye, and please find happiness. The former Hokage said, tapping Naruto's forehead, rendering him unconscious. When he opened his eyes again, he stood by the lake of the valley, the end, a place he knew all too well. So, what are your plans now, Naruto? His new companion Chuzai asked, standing on his shoulder. Yes, what will you do with such power now? The Kyuubi asked his jailer, clearly intrigued. Looking into the horizon with a determined, red-eyed gaze, he remembered the 4 swords he had equipped and answered both of their questions. I will raid the Sound Village. Naruto stood in front of a gate he never once had been before, but he knew if anyone would be happy to find him amongst the living again, it would be the one he always, even when they were close to killing each other, knew he had a special bond with, Gaara. After their fight, and getting Gaara away from the deep-rooted mistrust and hate towards all people, he had shared his gratitude with Naruto, saying he would try to find his precious people as well, and the blonde already is his first one. He remembered their first encounter all too well. Flashback. Who are you? An annoyed Sasuke Uchiha asked. Sabaka no Gaara. You, he replied emotionlessly. Sasuke Uchiha? I will look forward to our possible fight, Gaara said, turning a bit to the side to go, and stood face to face with Naruto, which looked him deeply into his eyes. The tension rose quickly between them, as they studied each other's eyes very carefully. Kit, be careful around this boy. I can sense Shikaku the One-Tails in him, and his jailers always tend to be psychopaths. Naruto and Gaara squinted their eyes, seemingly getting the same kind of information at the same time, while Temari, Kankuro, Sakura and Sasuke stood beside them, wondering what was happening. Naruto Uzumaki. The blonde-haired Jinchuriki started cautiously. Sabaka no Gaara. The red-haired one replied as cautious as him. Temari, Kankuro, let's go, he said before eyeing the knucklehead one last time, and then disappeared with his siblings. Flashback end. We certainly weren't the best friends there, Naruto thought amused, closing on to the main gate of Suna. Halt, state your business here. The guard shouted, immediately on edge because of Naruto's slashed-leaf headband. Yeah, I'm searching for a ninja called Sabaka no Gaara. Can you bring me to him? What business do you have with our Kazekage? Kazekage, eh? Gaara actually made it. Awesome. Some private matters I have to talk about with him. Please tell him the fox wants to play with the tanuki again. Hopefully he knows what this means. The guards looked at each other, confused by the strange message for their leader, but nevertheless sent someone to bring the message. Kazekage Tower. Knock knock. Come in. A stoic voice calmly replied to the knocking sound on the door. A woman with white robes, blonde hair and a gigantic fan on her back entered the room. What is it, Temari? Gaara said, slowly looking into the eyes of his sister. The guards told me there is someone outside who wants to see you, and apparently he had a message. It was something like the fox wants to play with the tanuki again. Gaara scrunched his eyebrows in confusion, but then widened them slightly in realization who it might be. Let him in, Gaara replied in his normal emotionless voice. Temari nodded and left the room, and reappeared after a few minutes with a very adult and strong-looking young man. Equipped with 4 swords, with black ninja clothes, and with slightly longer hair than he remembered Naruto to have. The only facial expressions he could see were different than he remembered. Instead of his deep, cerulean blue eyes and golden blonde locks, he now had red, slitted and feral eyes with a proud red mane. The rest of his face was concealed by a black mask, though he could clearly see this was Naruto. Red or blue, he still had the same determined and confident gleam in his eyes, and unfortunately, the still somehow lonely gaze as well. That's certainly a strange code you thought of, Gaara muttered with a slightly amused tone. Well, it certainly worked, didn't it? Naruto replied in a similar amused yet deeper tone, while he pulled his mask down to reveal his lower face, including his signature whisker marks. Gaara slowly stood up and approached his supposedly fallen friend. They stood in front of each other, until Gaara applied a quick hit into Naruto's stomach. That's for making me think you died, idiot, Gaara said, growling a bit angry, but he quickly recovered, and briefly hugged him in a brotherly way. Welcome back from the dead. It's good to be back, Naruto said, chuckling. Wait, who are you? Temari asked, confused. Who the hell was this person that Gaara willingly hugged? The two broke their brief hug, and the new red-haired person turned around. Don't you remember me? I'm offended, Temari-chan, Naruto said cheekily with his bright, shit-eating grin. He saw how she closely inspected his face, and then her eyes widened and jaw dropped upon seeing the familiar whisker marks. And Naruto? The kunoichi asked, disbelievingly. Hey Temari-chan, he replied. She ran over to Naruto, hugging him tightly. What are you doing here? We were told you died on a mission to retrieve this traitor, Temari asked, hissing the last words. She didn't know Sasuke very well, but she certainly did not like him. Yeah, you won't believe what happened, Naruto smiled, hugging her back. What's that noise? A voice asked, coming into the room. Naruto looked at the man coming in. He had strange purple paintings on his face, a black cat-like suit, and 2 puppets ready for battle. Yo, is that a way to properly greet me, Kankuro? Huh. Wait, what? Kankuro asked, thinking for a few seconds while looking up and down the figure. After he had taken a good glance at the familiar marks on the cheeks, he grinned and gave the figure a hard handshake. Well, look who escaped the Shinigami. How the hell are you still alive, and where were you? We were told you're dead, and I suppose there's a reason and a story for that. Gaara added, pointing at his friends Hittite and the eagle sitting on his shoulder. Yeah, about that. A lot of storytelling later. Gaara was in a deep thinking pose, processing the information given about Naruto's treatment, his supposed death, and his training. Temari looked sympathetic, while Kankuro looked ready to kill somebody. Finally, Gaara spoke. Naruto, you have saved me, so I want to redeem myself. As the Kazekage, I offer you the rank of Genin in the shinobi forces of Suna. Since you haven't formally been made a Chunin yet, I will have to put you into the Genin section first. Naruto felt glad that he was offered this opportunity, but he remembered the 2 missions he still had. While I am very grateful for your offer, I have still 2 things I have to take care of myself, and I won't be able to do that as a Suna force. What do you want to do? Gaara asked, lifting his eyebrows. My first mission will be to infiltrate the Sound Village, and hopefully destroy it. There are a few valuable files that Orochimaru has, and I need them. Do you happen to know where I can find mercenaries, good ones? Attack the Sound Village, are you crazy? What the hell are you going to do when you meet Orochimaru there? Temari asked, dumbfounded. That's why I want to hire someone to assist me. Well, if you insist, there are a few suspicious pubs and taverns after going down the main street into the north of the village. There are always people waiting for an offer. I would actually want to come with you, but I can't leave my Kazekage duties now. Gaara replied. I'll come with you. Haha, to go into a battle like that is beyond insanity. I love it, and I can show you which mercenaries are the best. Suna has its own mercenaries, which are directly under the control of Gaara. They don't do regular missions, and not only for Suna. No, those people are every plague the desert lands and beyond have found, and they can work for every village, as long as their loyalty stays with Suna. Since our Jonin team is dissolved, I already joined them. Kankuro said, laughing heartily. Really, you want to come with me? Yes, it's been a long time since I had a good fight, and I want to see what you did the last 3 years. Count me in. Come on, let's find some men, and in the evening we can properly catch up. Kankuro said with unlimited motivation, while Naruto nodded, following him into the next bar to find solid fighters. A few hours later, in the Red Cloud. Ugh, Kankuro, those are good and everything, but Noon is really standing out. I need someone who has fighting in his blood. Dude, you sound like you want Kami himself to come down and help you. Kankuro retorted, earning himself a glare from Naruto. Then, the Jinchuriki noticed a blonde, long-haired man in the corner of the pub, sitting there alone. Hey Kankuro, what's with him? Naruto asked, nodding into the man's direction. Following his nod, he saw the man sitting in the corner, drinking a bottle of sake for himself, and sighed. Him? I don't know, man. He's none of our men, no allegiances, and his reputation is very special, let's say. No partner he had ever survived, and he always leaves a big mess behind, destroying everything which comes into his path. Some say he's running away from a few tough guys. He's trouble. Naruto squinted his eyes and said, Good, I want trouble, as fast as possible. Come on, we'll talk to him. The 2 slowly approached his table, and started to speak. Hey, can we sit down here? Naruto asked the figure, which nodded slightly. What do you want? There's a reason you're here, right? Yes, I heard you're a troublesome, A/N, very far away, a pineapple-haired young man sneezed, fighter, and where I will go soon, I want the biggest mess ever to be left. So, I have work for you. Work, huh? Here, take a drink. The man said, pushing his bottle of sake over to Naruto and Kankuro, who took a little sip each, relishing in the slight afterburn of their throats. So, where do you want to go, boy? We will attack the Sound Village soon. I am interested in a few information Orochimaru possesses, and I need to find them. A whole village? What do you 2 think you're gonna attack with? Your scary eyes and strange face paintings. Kankuro quickly leaned over the table, being held back by Naruto. Let me go, I'll kill him. Kankuro growled loudly, while the man laughed and took a big sip from his sake bottle. After everyone calmed down again, the former blonde spoke to his possible partner again. Kankuro here is extremely strong with puppets, while I use Kenjutsu, stealth and my animal companions. So you need someone for the rougher things, too. The mercenary started. Mess things up. Naruto finished. And what would be my payment? To attack a village with a legendary Sannin in it is very dangerous, you know? We will probably fight our way through to my target. I am only interested in a few files, so you 2 can basically take whatever you find there. Seeing the still not fully convinced man, Gaara's brother added, and I can ask the Kazekage for a bit of financial payment as well. After some time of thinking, the man nodded, shook Naruto's hand and laughed. Okay kid, you got yourself a deal. What's your name by the way? I like to know my partner's name before joining them into battle immediately. I'm Naruto, but I will have to ask you that my name stays with you. If you tell anyone about my name, you won't receive any payment, and we will hunt you down." The man laughed again, and took a sip from his bottle. "I like you, kid. Don't worry, I'm no stranger to having enemies and running away, so your name stays a secret. What's your name, by the way, and what are your specific abilities?" Kankuro asked the man, which now had a proud gleam in his eyes. "I'm Deidara, and my ability? Hee, I make art, yeah." The day after recruiting Deidara, everything had been settled. After a talk with Gaara, Kankuro and Naruto got a little camp for their own two-man mercenary cell in the future, just outside town, and even additional space for Deidara. It consisted of a big, comfy tent, working as their assembly point, and 3 separate tents for sleeping. They formed a square-like camp, while in the middle, there was a nice campfire, surrounded by logs. The whole camp was illuminated by torches standing as high as a normal grown-up person, which surrounded all the tents. Currently, the 3-man group ate their dinner quietly, while the desert had a cool and soothing atmosphere, being looked down by the black night sky. Kankuro and Naruto remained in their black battle suits. Due to Kyuubi's chakra, Naruto was used to unbearable heat, and Kankuro always lived in the desert, so he had no problem with its climate. Deidara switched from his civilian clothing into a beige robe, while he now additionally wore his slashed Hitayite from a Wagakure. "What's your story?" Naruto said, nodding to him. Deidara sighed, and looked deeply into the campfire. "You know I have the Bokuten. A Kekkei Genkai, that simply causes explosions in every way possible, was not very popular with the people of IWA. So I left. I was hated for what I have, and probably will be in the future again, but I think it's art. My bloodline makes me special, and I like it that way." The mercenary answered cryptically, not going too much into detail. "Yours?" Deidara nodded to him. Kankuro simply listened while polishing and repairing his puppets. "Basically the same. I have powers that were forced on me, and everyone hated me for it. People laughed at me, betrayed me, and brushed me off whenever I exceeded my purpose. One day, I had a mission to retrieve my defecting teammate. I wanted to die, and he killed me. Or so I thought. I found a place to train, a master, and now I'm here. Konoha thinks I'm dead, and I'm perfectly fine with that," Naruto said while eating his soup. "This story, it seems familiar. Is it actually him?" Deidara thought, nodding while Naruto told of his past a bit. "Well, Deidara," Naruto said after finishing, eyeing his blonde acquaintance, "you told us that you have the Bokuten, right? So, I want you to make the biggest bomb possible. With us, I want you to show your true self, because mine is certainly strange enough, and using puppets is kinda creepy as well." "Hey!" Kankuro yelled at the redhead in front of him. Naruto snickered, and continued, "I have no problem with your abilities, and especially not when they will be useful on our mission." Naruto smiled sympathetically. Deidara nodded happily and had a proud grin. "I already took care of that. When you talked to me about the sound, I knew you didn't want any boom, but the boom itself, my finest piece of art. Look." Deidara then took a small figure of clay out of his hand, which actually did not look that impressive. "Now, it might not look like much, but once I drop it, you will see the true power of my art, yeah." The blonde shouted ecstatically, while the 2 others both sweat dropped a little at his explanation. "Very well. I asked a few ninja. They told me the Sound Village consists of underground laboratory systems, and an additional village Orochimaru ordered to be built for all of the ninja he collected. I think we will first search through one of his laboratories, and see what we can find there." "What are those files you are looking for anyways? You never told us," Kankuro asked curiously, while Deidara also leaned in. "Orochimaru is known for his experiments, right? I'm looking for 2 of his records, from people I know his experiments have worked on." "Can't you say what those experiments did specifically?" Kankuro whined at the lack of direct information. "Nah, can't spoil too much of their story," Naruto told, nodding towards the reader. Kankuro and Deidara nodded understandingly. That was a reason good enough to compensate their unknowingness. "A/N. Which experiments do you think Naruto is looking for?" "I'll be happy to read your guesses." "Why exactly would Orochimaru build a whole village? Doesn't that kind of destroy his underground reputation?" Kankuro asked, confused. "Maybe he wants to have his own actual village. Many people seem to join him the last years, according to the information of the ninja around here. I suppose to make it a bit more inviting to give up your body for a crazy Sannin, an actual village is more fitting than some suspicious underground laboratories," Deidara answered. "Yeah, I guess. So, my puppets are finished. My ultimate weapon is formed, and smaller bombs are ready as well. Blade sharpened, burning and explosion seals drawn, and Chuzai ready for battle." "You bet, Naruto," his proud ego cried out. "And don't forget me, Kit." Kyuubi growled in Naruto's head. "People, let's show the sound our arts," Naruto yelled, while the 2 ninja next to him placed their outstretched hands on top of his one. Right. The next morning, with everything prepared, Deidara quickly called for his bird made out of clay, and the 6 of them, 3 ninja, 3 puppets, took off into the direction of Rice Country. It took a while to cross Amigakure, Kusagakure and Takigakure, but on Deidara's artificial bird, they reached it by the time of noon. "Hey guys, I think that's a laboratory," Kankuro said, pointing to an entrance to an underground passage. "Yeah, looks like it," Land 200 meters away from it, Deidara, we will walk then. Naruto ordered and his companion nodded. The entrance. Strange, there are no guards. Kankuro whispered behind the gigantic root of a tree the three were hiding at. This place has to be filled with guards and traps. Wait a second. Naruto started when he saw a rat running in front of the gate. Tools of the hunt, rat sight. The Jinchuriki whispered, sending his spirit into the rat. Going as fast as possible, for he couldn't stay in it that long, he ran through the gate. Looking around, he found a gray stone passage, but still, he noticed no guards. Just a dark passage leading straight forward. He left the rat's body then. Naruto's limp body moved again, and then he spoke. Strange, there are still no guards inside. It's a dark, long passage, so we have to look out for traps. The redhead instructed the others. Inside the passage. Man, this place is creepy. No wonder nobody likes Orochimaru. Kankuro thought out loud, while his companions nodded in agreement. Yeah, it's damn sinister inside here, Naruto said. The three continued to walk cautiously, until they reached the point where the passage split up into 3 different ones. Well guys, it seems noon will see my art now, Deidara said, knowing they would split up now. Then let me give this to you, Naruto said, pointing his glowing hands towards the ears of his partners. On your right ears, you have communication seals. Pump a little chakra into them, and we'll hear everything you hear. Alright? Naruto explained, and the puppet master and Bokuten user nodded in affirmation. Then let's go, Naruto said, walking the path in the middle, while Kankuro went left and Deidara right. With Deidara being the experienced ninja he was, it was easy to dodge the rather simple shuriken or spiked traps. After some time, he reached a monstrous, but closed gate. Being the art lover he was, he threw a little clay bomb onto it, blasting the doors open. After the smoke cleared, he was surprised to see a peaceful, black-haired woman sitting on the floor, playing a harp-like instrument. Now that's very rude. Orochimaru-sama clearly instructed me that I would welcome the visitors here, and not the other way around, the woman said in her extremely sweet voice. Hee, art always introduces itself, and I don't care for that snake. I still have unsettled business with him, Deidara said, preparing 3 clay bombs in his hand. Music is the only true art, everything else is nothing but a perversion of it. The clay user narrowed his eyes. You'll pay for that, he said, going into his battle stance. We'll see, she said, pulling on a string a final time, and suddenly, all of her hair shot out, intending to pierce her opponent. He dodged narrowly, and threw one of his clay bombs in form of a bird at the woman, which was caught her hair that she now used around her to protect herself. Bokuten C1, explosion style, C1. The bird exploded, and the woman was briefly surrounded in a light flash. I must admit she started through the smoke that I certainly felt that. The blonde smirked and spoke. I hope so, I put a lot of effort into my art. With Kankuro. Arg, the hell is that? The puppet user asked while he barely stood on a spike in a ditch he fell in. Apparently, his way was free of ninja, but full of shuriken, fire and now spiked traps. Suddenly, he heard a gushing voice, coming from behind him. Once he fell into the ditch, a mechanism to dispose corpses was activated, and sent out a fast stream of water, which now teared away him and his 3 puppets. He was directly pumped in front of the main entrance, soaking wet. Activating his communication seal, he said, Guys, I'm in front of the main entrance again. There was nothing, the path was full of traps, and had a dead end. The Sannin informed the others. With Naruto nodding to himself upon hearing Kankuro's whereabouts, he continued to walk down his way, until he reached a great hall, with periodically placed pillars, a torch on each. Still, in the middle, the path continued to a door on the other side, a white light emanating from it. He stopped in the middle of the hallway after suddenly, a familiar voice echoed through the halls. Well, I didn't think I would find a fellow leaf shinobi here. Turning around, the Jinchuriki saw a boy with long, gray hair, black and white clothes, and a sound headband. Kabuto, was Naruto's simple reply. Oh, I didn't think my name was that known yet, but I'm very proud of it. The Konoha missing nin snickered. I'm not sure who you are though. I can't remember any Konoha nin with red hair. Say, do you happen to want to join Orochimaru-sama? The gray-haired man asked rhetorically. It's better that you don't know my name, not that it would matter anyways if that's the last thing you ever knew or not, the redhead said, grabbing the hilt of one of his swords strapped on his back. Unfortunate, very unfortunate, Kabuto said, picking a kunai. Kitsun no ken wakuri, Naruto yelled, unsheathing his sword and releasing the little red form of the Kyuubi briefly. Wait, wasn't that? Kabuto's thoughts were interrupted, narrowly deflecting the empowered Naruto's blows. The two traded blows, sparks flying while Naruto more and more pressed his speed advantage. The Jinchuriki felt more and more bloodthirsty, which was only amplified by every cut he created on his opponent's body. Yes, Naruto, use me. Use my power, and strike down your enemy. I can feel that you want it, too. Confused by the voice, he eyed the sword suspiciously, feeling the power and aggression radiating off of it. That glare gave Kabuto enough time to catch the redhead off guard, slashing a bit into his chest, from his right shoulder down to his left waist. A sound of pain escaped the boy's lips, and he retreated with a series of backflips, resting on his right knee. Forced to look up, he saw Kabuto, who pressed a kunai into his throat, and slashed through it. The lifeless body of the redhead fell onto the floor, and then dispelled into a cloud of smoke. The Sound Nin turned around, and spotted the now unharmed-looking Naruto on the other side of the hall. "You're good. You would be a fine body for my master's experiments," the medic said, going into a battle stance again and pushing his glasses up. Naruto smirked at the Sound Nin, and responded, "Oh, don't worry, I'll make good use of your master's experiments." He then returned his sword, and briefly closed his eyes, breathing in and out. Opening them, they had a much more intense red shine, as if they were red stars. "Moe Tsukuru. Burn out, A/N. I just love the sound of that in Japanese, so I wrote it like that." Without time to react, Kabuto's body was engulfed in deep red, QB red, fire which thrashed around violently. "I see you utilized the Kage Bunshin yourself, Kabuto." Naruto spoke, seeing Kabuto, who now was in the middle of the hall, placing a fire seal on my back in close combat. Really witty. "But what's with the fire? That doesn't look normal," wondered the medic loudly. Naruto smirked. "That's for me to know, and you to never find out." "Tools of the hunt, eagle's claws," he yelled. Not prepared for the eagle approaching from behind, he tried to dodge in the last second, but was hit by an enlarged claw, hitting his legs and rendering him almost unable to move. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." The redhead screamed, creating 4 clones of him, surrounding Kabuto, who now received more and more cuts. "Grrgh." Kabuto hissed as Naruto landed a vicious slash on his right arm, which started feeling numb. "Now take this," the swordsman and his clones yelled. One clone slid on his back next to Kabuto and kicked him in the air, while the clones further kicked him up. "Uzumaki." Then, the real Naruto floating above Kabuto thrusted his swords into his enemy's ribcage, descending into the ground with him. Naruto ran down. The clouds of smoke from the impact cleared, and showed a violently bleeding Kabuto, with Naruto kneeling on one knee beside him. "You're cough the QB kid." "How?" Not finishing his thoughts, he smiled and placed his hand into his chest. After he pulled it out again, he also removed his heart from his body. "I don't know how you're still alive, but you'll die here. Do you see the chakra wires here? I linked my chakra system to yours. If I die today, you'll come with me." Naruto widened his eyes, and looked onto his chest to indeed see little blue lines flowing into it. Then, his attention turned to a source of laughter. Coming up from the other side of Kabuto's body, there was a clapping Naruto. "Ah yes, I've heard of this technique from my master, really a brave one. Too bad only a Kage Bunshin will follow you into the afterlife, little snake." Naruto's true form and shadow clone laughed at that, and then both finished off the dumbfounded-looking Kabuto. Looking down at the corpse, Naruto activated his communication seal. "Yo Kankuro, do you have the need for a medic nin puppet?" With a brief delay, the puppet user answered. "A medic nin would be quite helpful in the future, so yes, sure," he informed. Nodding, Naruto sealed away the dead body in a storage seal, and proceeded his actual way. After some time, he came upon something that looked like the mixture of an asylum and a laboratory. Cells with beds and restraints left behind, tons of syringes and chemicals, and surgical rooms. Though none of them had any files regarding the experiments of Orochimaru. Then, he immediately heard a something that sounded like a step. He unsheathed the 2 swords and sprang into a battle stance. "Show yourself, I know someone's here." "Who are you?" Coming out from a room further down the corridor, he saw a beautiful girl, with long, red hair, red eyes and glasses. Her upper body was covered in a violet overall, while her lower body was covered by a pair of short pants and black stockings. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" the girl asked. "His chakra is so strong and warm, yet cold in the inside. He hides pain, it seems." "And what is that? Such evil chakra in a human?" she thought. "I asked first, give me your name," Naruto asked, eyes flaring in frustration. "Karen. Karen Uzumaki. I am, or rather was the head of this station, yet as you can see, it's abandoned." Naruto's eyes widened in shock. "Uzumaki? Does that mean he had family? He was told he was an orphan, so who was she?" "I am impossible." "You're an Uzumaki?" Naruto asked in disbelief. Furrowing her eyebrows, she answered. "Yes, as I said." "Now who are you and what are you doing here?" she asked sternly, preparing herself for battle. "I'm Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Son of the Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki." Her eyes widened now as well. "There was another one, Kushina Uzumaki? That's my aunt. You mean to tell me that you, my cousin, just walked in here randomly?" "Yes, I'm searching for Orochimaru's experiments. I still have unsettled business with him." Karen thought for a bit, pushing up her glasses. It all made perfect sense. The rumors about Kushina's possible son, the events of October 10th, the stories of an Uzumaki kid throughout Konoha, Wave and even Suna, everything added up, contrary to what was told to her by Orochimaru. She sighed, and then looked into the slitted eyes of her supposed cousin. "Then you're wrong here. Orochimaru transferred all of his experiment records to his new palace." Nodding, Naruto asked, "So, what'll happen now?" She sighed again, and started to speak. "I have reasons to believe that you are actually my cousin. Adding to that, what Orochimaru let me live through and told me about my family is far beyond any reason or reality. My allegiance with him is over now, and my redemption ended with the day he hid my family from me. So does that mean I would gladly join you, cousin? She said, smiling slightly. Running up to her, he encircled her with his arms in a tight hug. Finally, I have an actual family. You're the first one I see who shares the same blood with me, he said, with a few tears running down his face. After a moment of reluctance, she returned his hug. We have more time to make ourselves acquainted later. Now, we should get going. This place is still not empty, the girl said, releasing the brief hug. Yeah, I've already taken care of Kabuto. I hope Deidara took care of whatever he found. Deidara? The red-haired girl asked. Yeah, a partner of mine. Oh wait, Naruto again activated his communication seal, and spoke to Deidara. Yo, Deidara, we have everything we need for now. Whatever you do, just come back in front of the entrance. And leave enough of your explosives there to blow up the room. With Deidara. Currently, the mentioned man was strangled by a set of hair, which pulled him closer to its origins, the head of a woman. Time to die, pseudo artist, she said in a sweet voice, and finished her strangle. Deidara's eyes rolled back into his head, and the body stopped struggling. And then it happened. Boom! Ah, clay clones, I love them. The real Deidara spoke from inside the cloud of smoke, which showed the deceased musician. Activating his seal, he spoke. Roger, I'll be right there, outside of the entrance. Yo, who's that chick? Kankuro asked Naruto, while Deidara looked curious, Naruto a bit nervous and Karen irritated, with her left eye twitching. That chick is his cousin, and I would prefer to be called Karen, idiot, the girl answered. Don't underestimate an Uzumaki, Kankuro. Never, Naruto warned, while the Sannin gulped at the two threats. Now since we are happy and reunited, Deidara started, interrupting the little fight. Do you have the records you need? No, I don't. We will go to the main village, and somehow have to infiltrate Orochimaru's palace, find the records, and then it's showtime for you, Deidara. Naruto spoke, while all the others nodded and said. Blonde smirked at the last part. Yeah, can't wait to finally test my baby, he said. We should take a rest over the night, and then, we can attack tomorrow in the morning, Karen suggested. Sounds good, but first, let us bury this godforsaken place, Naruto said, turning his face to the entrance. You left the explosives there, right, Deidara? The Jinchuriki. Yeah, I did, the clay user answered. Perfect. Naruto Brilfi closed his eyes again, and searched for the explosive seals he left on the pillars in the room he fought Kabuto in, and the corridors of the left-behind Asylum. Opening them with brighter red eyes, he screamed, Moed Sukuru! His explosions rocked the whole hideout, and in a chain reaction, caused Deidara's clay to explode as well, causing everything to crumble and fall apart, until, in the end, the only thing left was an entrance fully closed by fallen down rocks. Brace yourself, Snake, we will come for you. What were you even doing down there? How did you meet Orochimaru? The Jinchuriki asked. Karen sighed, and looked into the flame of the campfire. My family died long ago. From that point forward, I was alone in my village, Kusagakure. I was used because I have a special healing ability. If you bite me, then you are able to fully heal yourself, at the expense of my own chakra. This left many scars behind, and all those times I was abused to heal others, they still haunt me. Orochimaru then took me with him, and I wanted to leave. He knew who I was, but told I had no remaining family, and he used me for experiments, and for healing too. She finished, shuddering. Naruto laid a comforting arm around her shoulder, causing her to flinch slightly, but then relax and lean into the embrace. Don't worry, Karen, with us you're safe. I won't let anything happen to you, to any of us. I will always protect my precious people, and I don't go back on my word. That's my ninja way, the redhead exclaimed, earning himself nods from his teammates, and at Karen leaning deeper into him, while Chuzai nuzzled her cheek affectionately. Naruto chuckled. Chuzai seems to like you. Maybe you should keep him for the mission tomorrow, he said. Thanks, Naruto. I owe you something. She sniffed slightly. Hey, that's what family is for, right? He grinned foxily. Yeah, she said, looking back into the flame of the campfire, and then remembered something. Hey, what's with your eyes? I mean, those slits are strange. Naruto nodded, and replied to them all. Kankuro probably already knows from Gaara, but you too. He started, referring to Deidara and Karen. Don't. I'm a Jinchuriki, the Kyuubi is sealed inside me. That's one of the reasons Konoha hated me. Whenever I use his power, my facial features change, and I even get a red chakra cloak that resembles a fox. A while ago, the day I was supposed to die, I asked Kurama, Kyuubi's name by the way, to pump a little chakra into my eyes constantly so they stay red, and color my hair red as well, so that no leaf ninja recognizes me if I happen to meet one accidentally. So that was the strange chakra I sensed, Karen thought. Poor boy. I don't know if I can even look into the eyes of one of those people ever again. Kankuro thought. The Kyuubi, so it's really him, Deidara thought. Wait, you said one of the reasons you were hated was the Kyuubi, but what are the others? Karen asked her cousin. Naruto chuckled, and looked in the flame again, a sad smile on his face. You sit next to the dead last of Konoha, #1 unpredictable knucklehead, obnoxious loudmouth brat, the one who's too much trouble to deal with. In the eyes of nearly everyone, I was unnecessary ballast. Karen frowned sadly at the story, and everyone was silent for a moment. Well, I'm an obnoxious loudmouth myself, so your attitude is fine by me, yeah? Deidara said, grinning at his partner. You saved Gaara from himself, man, and I will be eternally grateful for that, dead last or not. Kankuro added, You're my family, and I accept and love my family as they are, even if we don't know each other well yet. A group of loudmouths, that will be fun, Karen finished jokingly. Looking everyone in the eyes and seeing their honesty, he nodded. Thanks guys, that means a lot to me. After a brief silence, Deidara started to talk. So, how do we do this tomorrow? I mean, I just want to blow something up there. But you wanted some experiments, right? The redhead nodded. Do you know where Orochimaru keeps the records of his experiments, Karen? Yeah, by no, he transferred all of his files into his personal chambers. They are in the Odokage mansion. The problem is that I don't know where his chamber is, so you'll have to find it yourself. He nodded, and looked into the flame with a thoughtful frown. Okay guys, here's the plan. The next morning. Okay boys, there's Odogekure. Karen yelled, due to the noise of the wind passing them on Deidara's bird. So, Kankuro and I will go down there. When we're finished I will contact you and you will give them their surprise, got it, Deidara? Naruto said, causing the addressed man to nod with a maniac grin. Hee hee, they will love my art. Karen looked confused at Deidara and asked, For you, explosions are art? She asked. He shook his head and yelled, No, art is an explosion. Everyone's sweat dropped a bit, but laughed afterwards. Okay, we're right above the mansion, you two can drop now. Good luck guys, and be careful. Contact us through the communication seal, and we will find you. Karen said. Nodding, Naruto and Kankuro jumped from the clay bird down onto the roof of the Odokage mansion, making sure to feather their landing and minimize the thud sound. Unsheathing a sword and enhancing it with wind chakra, the Jinchuriki slashed a circle through the roof right below them, the circle from the roof quickly caught by the puppet master and laid silently next to the hole. Before entering, Naruto stuck his head through the hole, to check if there were any guards that might be alarmed. Only seeing an empty hallway, Naruto let himself fall through the hole, quickly followed by Gaara's brother. They looked around in the dim wooden passage, and decided to go right, signalizing each other with hand signs and nodding. They followed the way until they reached a corner. Naruto looked around the corner carefully, and noticed 3 guards facing them with their backs. Naruto whispered, 3 guards, 20 meters from here. I take 2, the one left and in the middle, you the right. Kabuto's chakra scalpel is pretty silent, too. Kankuro nodded and prepared his new puppet of Kabuto, while Naruto crouched, 2 swords already unsheathed. Every step was made with utmost care, hoping the guards in front of them did not get suspicious. Step, nothing, step, nothing, step. The guard in the middle stirred a bit, stopping the 2 dead in their tracks, while Naruto signalized to stop in a halt motion of his hand. The Oto guard though did not turn around, but continued to stare ahead, so Naruto and Kankuro walked again. Step, nothing, and then after a few more steps, something happened. Step. The right guard turned around, and was greeted by the puppet of Kabuto, swinging a chakra scalpel at his throat. Any scream, any word, any action was stopped immediately, and swapped with a slight gurgling noise. Naruto quickly sliced through the throats of the remaining, and seemingly rather poorly trained guards. He sheathed his swords back quickly, and caught the 2 guards, hands on their mouths to annihilate any escaping noises, while Kankuro ordered his puppet to do the same. Naruto formed his signature cross-finger hand seal and whispered Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The entire, now cleared hallway was filled with Narutos, with each of them taking out the rat from the underground base which he securely stuffed in an extra pouch. He had a feeling he would need it again. All of them placed their rat on the ground, formed a few hand seals and now all whispered, Tools of the hunt, toxic rat plague. The rats scurried to the 3 corpses and overran their bodies. Kankuro wondered what the technique was doing, especially since the rats seemed to be chewing. After the rats were done, all shadow clones and their rats dispersed, leaving now only the original Naruto, Kankuro, 1 rat and a clear ground. What the? Kankuro said. Acidic spit. The technique is called toxic plague for a reason. Naruto answered, chuckling a bit, and already starting a few hand signs again. Tools of the hunt, rat sight. His body fell unconscious and was quickly caught by Kankuro, while the Jinchuriki now walked in the rat's body. Okay, where are you files, where are you? He finished the rest of the corridor the 3 guards were in, and walked around the corner to the right, nothing in his sight. He continued and now passed the corner again, going left this time. Like a labyrinth, Naruto thought, continuing his walk. Around the corner, the wooden passage ended with a closed door, 2 guards standing in front of it. They already looked more focused than the ones from before, seeing how tense they were because of the rat's movement, even though they didn't kill it upon seeing it's only a rat. Leaving the rat quickly, Naruto opened his eyes and regained consciousness, feeling how his wrists already hurt from the long compression of his churka coils. His partner noticed his pain, and how he rubbed his wrists, and therefore ordered the Kabuto puppet to heal his wrists. Thanks, Kankuro. Naruto whispered. So what did you see? His partner asked. A big door, 2 guards in front of them. They are stronger than the ones before, and they look straight ahead. The other one's placement was just convenient because of the many side passages that they have to guard, too. So what do we do? Naruto and Kankuro both thought, until Kankuro smirked and whispered, "You told us something about invisibility, right?" A minute later, Naruto's back now faced the wall, 10 meters away from the corner he was supposed to cross. "Ready?" his puppet-using partner asked in a low whisper still. Naruto nodded, and went through some hand signs. Thrill of the hunt. While he turned invisible slowly, he half-whispered, half-growled like a feral cat, "Grapha, listen." Now he was fully concealed, every trace of him minimized. He walked around the corner, and saw how the guards seemed almost unsuspecting, with only a slight edge. Naruto crouched on all fours, like a predator, and slowly walked towards the guards. One of the guards seemed to get a strange feeling, while he slowly reached out towards his weapons pouch. Naruto slowed down his pace a bit, trying to ease the worries of his opponent a bit, which seemed to work. Then suddenly, a kunai swung and embedded itself with a loud thud. "Ha, what was that, you idiot?" One Otonin laughed heartedly. "Shut up, you had the feeling there was something too, haven't you?" The other guard shouted back. "Well, it seems there isn't anything, as you can see here." Right above them was a slightly sweating Naruto, crouching upside down on the ceiling. "Phew, that was close." "Now your turn, Kankuro." The puppet user waited a few seconds to make sure his partner was in position. He took his kabuto puppet, and shook it. Clack, clack, clack. The guards immediately got into a fighting position, and narrowed their eyes while still looking down the hall. Clack, clack, clack. "You heard that too, right?" one guard asked, and the other one nodded. Focusing themselves on the continuous, suspicious sounds from around the corner, the two slowly went to follow the noise. After a few steps, Naruto silently descended to the ground, embedding his two swords into both guards' spinal cord. Then he repeated the procedure with the rats. "Good job, Kankuro." The man walked around the corner with a proud grin. Anyone could have taken out those were Chunin, maybe even Genin. That was nothing. With a tick mark on his forehead, the Jinchuriki whispered violently, "Tell me that back home, and I'll make sure to kick your ass. Now, let's get in here." Cautiously, they walked to the door, and surprisingly it was open. Poking his head inside, he saw an empty bed, a sparring field, and most importantly, countless shelves full of scrolls, folders, and chemicals. "So, you know which one to search, Kankuro?" The puppet user nodded, and they split themselves up to look for the files. "Now, where are you? Naruto thought, skimming through the files. No, there you are," the redhead thought. "Now, I need the genes too." The genes were found rather easily, since they were far too important for the snake Sannin to be left in some corner. Noticing a rather special scroll, he took a look at it, and its title, "The Art of Animation and Reincarnation." Might be useful someday. Leaving the ocean of shelves, Naruto asked, "Yo Kankuro, do you have the file?" The catsuit man left the shelves too, with a file in his hand. "Yes, here it is," the puppet master said, handing over the file to the Jinchuriki, who quickly stored everything into a scroll and stuffed it into his pocket. "And what?" a voice behind them started to hiss. "Do you two think you're doing?" Instantly activating the communication seal connected to Deidara and Karen, Naruto turned towards the all-too-familiar voice behind him, while Kankuro readied his kabuto puppet. The figure frowned upon seeing the puppet. "I already wondered what took him and Karen so long." "So the two of you killed them?" Naruto smirked and started to speak. "I hope you're not too sad about him. You can find another ass-kisser anywhere on this world, Orochimaru." The Sannin went out of the shadows, revealing his long, black hair, yellow snake eyes, purple paintings around his eyes, gray, white and black robes, and a smirking face. A Tsunanin and a defected Konohanin? What a strange pairing. The snake user hissed with an intrigued voice. "So you have taken a liking for my experiments, I see. Wouldn't you rather be here, and let us see if they can be repeated?" "Thanks, but no thanks. In my future, you unfortunately have no place," the redhead said, drawing two swords. "Come on guys, I hope you hear me." "Kukuku, that's very unfortunate. Who are you though?" "You should be 16 or 17, and a former Konohanin." "I should know you," Orochimaru said, before opening his mouth and drawing his own sword Kusanagi. "Wouldn't you like to know?" Naruto spoke, and then charged at the Sannin with his dual swords, while Kankuro sent out the kabuto puppet and his already blue flaring chakra scalpel, the clashing sounds resonating throughout the room. "With Karen and Deidara, we will have to descend and find them," Deidara shouted at Karen. "I know, but I can only feel faint chakra signatures in the whole mansion. It's probably because Orochimaru and Naruto fight with their swords and Kankuro with his puppet. We have to wait for a spike, then I can feel them better." "Then keep looking," Deidara ordered the redhead while looking down at the mansion, with Naruto and Kankuro. "Grr, I can't come near him," Naruto thought. His opponent either deflected the blows of Naruto's swords with his one, or shaped his body in abnormal ways to evade them. He truly was a legendary Sannin, being able to evade 3 blades at once. "Use me, Naruto. You need me." Ignoring the voice, Naruto connected another blow with Orochimaru's sword and pushed against it, while the puppet user was distracted by a mud clone. "Kukukuku, tell me, young Leaf Nin, what does one want with my kind of work? The last time I checked, Konoha hated me for it," the snake taunted. "Don't call me a Leaf Nin. I'd rather be a demon than a Leaf Nin." "Big words, but a demon, being or using one, always has a price. Hopefully my price isn't to be so ugly and pale like you." Smirking and hissing, Orochimaru jumped back, while controlling his Kusanagi in the air. Naruto deflected the blows from it, and substituted himself with a shadow clone, while he ran at Orochimaru's retreating figure at full speed. Notoryu, Saikuru. Two-sword style, Rhino Resolve. He pointed up both of his swords, at the height of Orochimaru's head, and spun around, trying to incapacitate him. The snake Sannin dodged the first few spins, and substituted himself with a log, which was cut clean by the swords. At the other side of the room, his opponent threw a shuriken. The Jinchuriki heard the swirling of the weapon and easily sidestepped it, but missed the sound of the metal embedding itself into wood. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The snake Sannin muttered, while the weapon, and its 1,000 clones turned around and came swirling at Naruto once again. Seeing the rain of weapons, he did a few hand seals and shouted, Futon, Kaze no Kabe. Wind style, wind wall. A wall of wind materialized in front of the redhead, and caught the numerous shuriken, but left him open for a slash of Kasanaji. Naruto winced and immediately felt as if all of his veins were burning. Poison, Orochimaru said, knowing why the redhead was confused. The poison of Manda, if I may add. It takes a surely devastating effect on the body. Naruto gritted his teeth in pain, and Orochimaru smirked. The next second, the snake Sannin was stabbed right through his heart by a chakra scalpel, and kicked into the air by the Kabuto puppet. Naruto took the opportunity, and with a quick dash, was slicing through Orochimaru. Itoryu, Seigo no Kokyu. One sword style, last breath. His sword covered in wind chakra, he slammed it into Orochimaru's head, causing the body to descend into the ground and creating a small crater. The body of Orochimaru laid on the ground unmoving, until it suddenly opened its mouth and released a new Orochimaru, unharmed and without a scratch. Kukuku, those are surely interesting techniques you have, they haven't been used for quite a while. You wouldn't happen to offer yourself to share them with me? Naruto again gritted his teeth, while Kankuro just frowned at the warrior in front of them. Use me, you know you have to. Feeling as if a gate was holding back an incredible flood in his mind, and knowing how the potion still spread through his body, he cursed and opened the gate, releasing the thoughts of blood and killing. And then, everything was a blur. Naruto screamed in pain as his head was overwhelmed and his skin turned red. Before any of two confused persons in the room could react, they heard two voices from Naruto, his normal one and a deep, demonic one. Umbral trespass. The Jinchuriki disappeared into 3 little red clouds, which quickly flew into Orochimaru. When they entered him, 2 of Naruto's swords appeared above his head, hovering. What's this? The snake Sannin thought. The room was filled with Naruto's sinister laugh, until he materialized above the head of his opponent again, grabbed his swords and slashed a clean line through Orochimaru, who was barely able to evade a lethal blow. Cursing in pain, Orochimaru pointed his arms towards the enraged fighter, snakes leaving them and his mouth, wrapping around Naruto. Mandara no Jin! Formation of 10,000 snakes, the snake Sannin yelled, burying the now red-skinned warrior in his snakes. Though his body was more and more poisoned and bitten all around, his will, now amplified by the demonic powers of the sword and 2 tails of Kyubi, refused to falter. Kankuro tried to cut through the snakes with the chakra scalpel, but to no avail. They came more than they were destroyed. He's struggling against the snakes. No, he will release himself, the Sannin panicked, concentrating even more snakes into his jutsu. But then, he was surprised again. Boom! To his left the wall was blown off by a gigantic explosion, causing all 3 in the room to be thrown away, and the snakes to disappear. Looking towards the big cloud of smoke, Orochimaru could only see the outlines of 2 persons, standing on a giant bird. From the cloud, dozens of yellow chains of chakra emerged and wrapped themselves around Naruto, who still thrashed violently and screamed, and Kankuro, pulling them away. I have them, let's hurry up and leave. Karen yelled and Deidara nodded, the bird of clay ascending and flying away, while Naruto and Kankuro hung down, only held by Karen's chains. Orochimaru watched the retreating people after he stood up again. His eyes narrowed after he saw who it was. Karen, and that blonde idiot? What a strange bunch he has gathered there, he thought. Karen meanwhile healed the injured and poisoned Naruto, though still with his restraints, while also calming his mind with another healing jutsu. Naruto visibly calmed down and ceased his thrashing, becoming still. Then, he opened his red eyes again, looking very tired. Hey guys, what happened? He said hoarsely. I don't know, man. Something took over you back there with Orochimaru, maybe the Kyubi. Though it didn't look like it. Kankuro said. Okay, wait, what's with the Sound Village? Look down and you all will see. Deidara chuckled. Everybody looked down to see the crowd gathered at the mansion of the Otokage. Obviously, the first explosion has gained a lot of attention. Deidara looked through the hole he created previously, and saw Orochimaru still standing there, looking above him. Winking at him with a cocky grin on his face, he threw a little mass of clay down at the Otokage mansion, down to the still wondering crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, Deidara yelled on his retreating bird, causing everyone to look at him. Do you like art? I hope so, cause with me so close to you, you should always keep in mind that art is an explosion. The crowd wondered what the statement meant and Orochimaru widened his eyes. Oh no. Deidara laughed maniacally, and yelled finally. Finally this village gets what it deserves, for its actions and existence. Bokuten, C3. The little mass of clay expanded into a gigantic mass of clay, nearly the size of the Odokage mansion itself. Then, it exploded. The entire village was quickly engulfed in something that resembled a sun which flew into the earth. The wind gust from the explosion was almost enough to throw everyone off the bird. Dude, what the fuck is that? This is insane. How can someone possibly create such an explosion? Kankuro yelled at Deidara, the explosion still going on, without a sign of stopping. The blonde moved his right index finger in a no-no motion and answered, just like magicians, artists never tell their secrets. Meanwhile, the two redhead were back at healing and being healed again. At last, this village of criminals has found an end. Naruto whispered, and passed out from exhaustion. Karen nodded, and remembered another task. Talking to Chuzai, she strapped 2 scrolls there. A storage scroll, and a letter. Chuzai, you need to fly to the office of the Kazekage in Suna, quickly. He will need those scrolls before we reach him. Yes, milady, Chuzai said, while taking off to Tsunade in a far greater pace than the clay bird. She looked at her patient and smiled, continuing to stabilize him. She had family again, and Otogekyo was Hisori. Maybe this squad of strange, obnoxious loudmouths wasn't that bad. Tsunade Council. What? This is an outrage. Denying someone his birthrights, even the knowledge of his parents' identity, and sending the same person on a suicide mission against direct subordinates of a wanted missing nin, that's unbelievable. It may sound hypocritical, given the more than wrong treatment we gave our Jinchuriki and Lord Kazekage in the past, but at least we had a few tiny shreds of humanity. Shouted a civilian, and a member of the Tsunade Civilian Council. We should cut the ties with this village. I never liked it anyway. Muttered an elder by the name of Lady Chio. We should not act too abruptly. To instantly declare hostility against the Hidden Leaf Village, for an act we almost committed to the full extent ourselves, would be an overreaction. A member of the Shinobi Council replied to the elder's request. This is true. The calm and emotionless voice of the red-haired Kazekage called out. And I know that Naruto would not want to cause problems to Suna that he understands as his own. He is very humble about that. However, I will not let that slide without any consequences. Hereby, I request to revoke our ally status to the village hidden in the leaves, and to change it to a neutral status. If we can't trust them to treat one of their kind with a minimum of respect, how should we know if they would treat our shinobi any different on the battlefield? Our strong ties with Kiri are enough to compensate any potential loss of trade. He continued, getting mostly understanding nods, and a few frustrated faces which hoped for a harsher treatment. Naruto's way of changing the psychopathic jailer of the One-Tails into a still emotionless, but more empathetic human being had been the only connection they felt for Konohagakure. Everyone in favor of neutrality? Gaara asked, getting all the hands from his council. Everyone against? He asked, getting no hands at all. Then from this moment on, Konoha and Suna are neutral. Matsuri, please send a messenger bird with my declaration and reasons for the annulled alliance to the office of the Hokage. The Shikaku Jinchuriki ordered his assistant with short brown hair, a typical Suna robe and rope darts equipped at her waist, and gave her a scroll. Hi, Kazekage-sama. She stammered a bit, leaving the council chambers. This meeting is closed, thank you for your patience. The redhead finalized, causing everyone to bow slightly and leave into their respective directions. Meanwhile, he went to his Kazekage office, and met his assistant there again. He nodded to her, while she nodded and blushed at him, hurrying out of the hallway. I'm wondering why she's always doing that, he thought. He entered his office, and noticed a familiar-looking eagle at the window. Isn't that Naruto's bird? He thought, walking over to it and taking the scrolls it carried, while the bird flew away again. A letter? The Kazekage thought and opened it. Dear Kazekage-sama, my name is Karen Uzumaki, former head medic of Odogekure and, as I found out, cousin of Naruto Uzumaki. As my cousin told me, and certainly you already, he was searching for experiments from Orochimaru. If this letter reaches you, it means that our mission was a success and we will return to Tsunade soon. Additionally to this letter, I will send the records of Orochimaru's experiments, and highlight the specific parts that are most important to Naruto. I humbly request you, Kazekage-sama, to prepare your leading scientists and medics for Naruto's arrival. As you might have already guessed, Naruto wants to undergo these experiments himself. Given that he is a Jinchuriki, especially of the mightiest Bijou, and the official heir of the Uzumaki clan, his stamina and recovery rate is inhuman, and therefore the experiments should go easy. Yours sincerely, Karen Uzumaki. P.S. Naruto was infected with the poison of Manda, the snake boss. I am able to stabilize him, but without a surgical room, the poison will stay in his system. He wants to do these experiments on himself? That is certainly unexpected, Temari. Gaara called out. A few seconds later, his sister walked into the room. Yes, Gaara, please go to the Central Hospital of Suna and the Institute of Science. Find the leading doctors and scientists, and tell them to be here tomorrow, 6 a.m. sharp. Okay. His sister nodded and went off. Now, let me see those experiments. What have you planned, brother? Gaara said, opening the first page of the first file. Subject number 137. Name, Tenzo. Birth name, today Yamato. Type of experiment, Infusion of Kekkai Genkai. Type of Kekkai Genkai. Wood style by Hashirama Senju, Shodai Hokage of Konoha. Process. Continuous adaptation of subject number 137 cell structure and genetic coding to Hashirama Senju, with the addition of his actual genes. Subject number 137 is the only known survivor of this process. Result: successful transfer of the wood-style Kekkai Genkai. Current status of subject number 137, ninja of the village hidden in the leaves. Warning: critical failure rate. Danger level red. I guess those are his cells then, the Kazekage thought, holding the flask from Orochimaru's mansion. He carefully dropped the scroll and flask onto his desk, and opened the second file. Subject number 248. Name: Kidamaru. Type of experiment: animal-human crossing. Animal: spider. Process: infusion of spider blood, poison DNA, molding of human and animal genetic information with chakra. A person with enormous chakra reserves required. Result: controlled growth of up to 4 additional arms, manipulation of spider webs, usable as weapons. Current status of subject number 248. Dead. Warning: constant attention of advanced medic needed. Spider poison can cause irreversible damage. With medic, danger level yellow. Gaara then switched his attention to the circles and notes Karen added to the file. Only controlled growth of 2 additional arms required. More arms and all other abilities from spiders not wanted. 4 arms and a Kekkai Genkai? Naruto sure aimed high. He somehow does always, Gaara thought, amused. That's the influence of Kurama, for sure. He always wanted everything, and do the unthinkable. Shikaka thought inside of Gaara's mindscape, amused as well. Gate of Tsunade. The next morning. Quick, I need a surgical room. Manda's poison is still in his system, Karen said after she saw the group of people staying with Gaara. Assuming they were the doctors and scientists, she requested. Gaara, Temari, the doctors and scientists, Kankuro, Deidara, Karen and an unconscious Naruto were brought to an emergency room in the hospital. Most of the people went inside, but some were blocked. I'm sorry, only the staff of the Kazekage, Karen Uzumaki and the Kazekage himself are allowed in this room now. Understanding, though still reluctantly, everyone agreed. Gaara went in for half an hour to look at his best friend with a concerned face, and then left the room to find Temari, Kankuro and Deidara. He seems to come along fine, the Kyuubi's definitely doing his work. The Kazekage informed the group, relieving their concerns. You, Gaara said, looking at Deidara, you are the mercenary Naruto and Kankuro hired, right? Deidara nodded. Then let's go into my office, we will discuss the payment for you helping Naruto. That's the minimum I can do for him at the moment. Both of them started to walk, until Kankuro interrupted the two. Hey, wait. The retreating figures turned back to the puppet user, who looked into Deidara's eyes. That move you pulled off back there, it's frightening as hell, but it means you're pretty damn strong. You're not that bad, man. You should join the mercenary guild of Suna. Naruto wanted to join Suna later, too, and I'm sure Karen would come with us as well. It would be awesome to have you in our squad, the Sand sibling said, extending his hand in a way a businessman would. Deidara looked onto the hand with a deep, thoughtful hand. Those people were the first ones who accepted his, admittedly frightening Kekkai Genkai, and with a group full of obnoxious loudmouths like he was one, he felt a sense of belonging. Grinning cockily, he shook Kankuro's hand with an equally strong grip. Sure, as long as I get to blow up something on a regular basis. The two were interrupted by Karen leaving the room Naruto currently resided in. So guys, I'm glad to say Naruto's fine. We have extracted the poison of Manda. His other injuries are not that bad, he should be fine tomorrow. But that's not all, right? I heard he wanted to undergo the experiments he stole from Orochimaru? Temari asked the redhead medic, who nodded. That's true, but thankfully, the files are very detailed, and Naruto together with the Kyuubi has a very strong body. We will need 24 hours at most for the wanted results. That reminds me of something else. We will need you now, Kazekage-sama. A lot of chakra is required for one of the experiments, and the chakra from you and the tailed beast inside of you should be more than enough. Gaara nodded and replied, yes, I will do that, but first, I officially offer both of you, Karen Uzumaki and you, Deidara, the man spoken of said, and Deidara, a place amongst the mercenary guild of Tsunade. You will automatically get the last known rank you possessed. The Kazekage said, and noticed the state of Deidara's Hittite, and the lack of one from Karen. Since I guess you being here is not in harmony with your last village, I will research you in the bingo books of Iwagakure and Kyuzugakure. Karen finished this time. Yes, exactly. Deidara already accepted his offer. Do you do too, Karen Uzumaki? She thought of it, and asked, is Naruto a part of the guild as well? No, he said he wanted to finish 2 things first, because he couldn't do that as a forced part of a shinobi village. Those experiments were the first thing he wanted to do. I want to know what the second thing is, though. Still, he wanted to join as a genin afterwards, and if you all join the guild, I'm sure he will, too. She nodded, and finalized her decision while pushing up her glasses. Okay then, count me in. Thank you, Kazekage-sama. Gaara nodded, while holding up his hand and waving it dismissingly. Please, Gaara is just fine. Friends of Naruto, and especially family of Naruto, are my friends as well. I will prepare your contracts and headbands, you can come to take them in the evening. Deidara, I'm afraid we will have to postpone your payment until then. My presence is still needed here. No problem, I can wait for a bit. More time to prepare my next piece of art, yeah. Deidara exclaimed, while Kankuro and Karen's sweat dropped, and Temari and Gaara looked confused. His previous partners knew exactly what he meant with art. Alright then, please lead me to Naruto, Karen. Kankuro, Temari, please let the cook set up a banquet for tomorrow. I want to celebrate my brother's survival once he leaves the hospital. The Suna leader said, while Karen walked back into the operation room. Temari and Kankuro left to the Sabaku estate, preparing their get-together, and Deidara walked back to the camp of his new squad, making new charges of clay for his next possible fights, and also a few nice traps, just in case someone would want to interfere with his art. The next morning, the Hokage groaned. Paperwork, the bane of her existence. It piled itself up without any hope of its growth slowing down. She downed a large gulp of sake, and looked at all of the pictures standing on her desk. The one of her brother Nawaki, the one of her dead lover Dan, and of course, the photo with her, Jiraiya and Naruto. She sighed with a shaky breath, until she was interrupted. Tsunade-sama! Shizen yelled, barging into the office of the Hokage. Not so loud, Shizen. The busted blonde said, gripping her head from her headache. Sorry, but I have a message that will more than likely spike your interest. And what would that be? Tsunade said uninterestedly, taking another sip of her bottle of sake. Orochimaru's village has been completely destroyed. The drinking Hokage immediately spit out the gulp of sake in her mouth and coughed a few seconds afterwards. What? What do you mean destroyed? She asked, completely flabbergasted. With destroyed I mean destroyed. One of Jiraiya's spies said the village was annihilated in an explosion, and that 4 people left the village from the sky. Explosion? Sky? But how? Here, the daimyo of Rice Country added entries into their bingo book. Apparently there were still witnesses who survived. The Hokage's assistant said, handing the files over to her leader, which she inspected then. Name, Sabaku no Kankuro. Current village, Tsunade. Appearance, black cat-like suit, violet face paintings, scrolls on his back, Tsunade Hitite, puppets. Rank B, Abelites, puppet master. Wanted for infiltration of Otogekure, the Otokage mansion, stealing classified information, and fighting the Otokage. Bounty, 50.000 Ryo. Name, Karen Uzumaki. Current village, last associated village, Otogekure. Appearance, long red hair, red eyes, black glasses, violet shirt, black short pants. Rank B. Abilities, advanced medic, Uzumaki chakra chains bloodline. Wanted for treason against the Rice daimyo and Otogekure, and the coordinated escape with wanted criminals. Bounty, 60.000 Ryo. Name, Deidara. Current village, last associated village, Iwagakure. Appearance, long blonde hair, covering the left eye, beige clothes, concealing most of his body, Iwagakure Hitite. Rank S. Abilities, Bokuten bloodline. Wanted for the destruction of Otogekure and the massacre on Oto ninja. Warning, capable of destroying an entire village alone, engaged with utmost care. Bounty, 200.000 Ryo. Name, unknown. Current village, last associated village, unknown, probably Konoha. Appearance, spiky and long red hair, red eyes with black vertical slits, sleeveless black shirt, black pants and black face mask, Konoha Hitite, for swords. Rank S. Abilities, advanced Kenjutsu, Fuetin. Wanted for the infiltration of Otogekure, the Otokage mansion, stealing classified information and fighting against the Otokage. Warning, in possession of yet unknown powers. Engage with utmost care. Bounty, 100.000 Ryo. Sabaku no Kankuro, isn't that the brother of the Kazekage, Gaara? What did he have to do with all of that? The Hokage wondered. We only know that Kankuro joined the mercenary guild of Tsunade 3 years ago, so it's possible he was hired for the job. The Hokage nodded, and then asked, red hair and red eyes? Advanced Kenjutsu and in possession of 4 swords? I can't remember us having such a ninja, Shizen. Do you? The assistant shook her head, and replied, sorry Tsunade-sama, I don't know that person. Did Jiraiya's spies possibly find out what happened to Orochimaru? Shizen, again, shook her head. No. It is likely that he died in the explosion. Tsunade nodded. We still need to be careful about him. He is not one to die easily. It is possible he's alive. Inform me when there's new information. Hi, Tsunade-sama. And here, you have a letter from the Kazekage. Shizen said, handing her the envelope. Thank you, Shizen, you're dismissed. After her assistant left, she opened the letter and began to read it. Dear Hokage-sama, recently, I have been informed that my close friend Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze has never once been informed about his heritage, and that his father was none other than a Hokage. To deny a gentle soul, such as my brother was one, the knowledge and ownings of his heritage willingly, ignoring the already harsh treatment he received, a procedure I know all too well, is, to put it simply, outrageous. Especially the close relationship the two of you had would lead me to think you would inform a 14-year-old kid about his mother and father. Since this is a signal from me that Konoha apparently does not value its citizens, either as humans nor as ninja, in an even worse way Suna did previously, I hereby revoke our ally status and declare Tsunade and Konoha neutral. I hope Konoha finds the path back to its will of fire again. Sabaku no Gaara, Kazekage of Tsunade no Sato. At the end of the letter, Tsunade cried soft and silent tears, which gently ran down her Genjutsu Kavara, flawless face. Every sentence of the Kazekage hurt, and felt like a stab to her heart. He was right, and she knew it. Of course it said in the files of her favorite blonde knucklehead who his father and mother were, together with the strict order to not tell him who they were. It broke her heart to not do it, but she knew it was an order by the Sandaime himself. Sue the Jonin who knew of Naruto's parents, and her lived up to it. It was obvious that the letter was very personal for the Kazekage as well. Heck, the reason why he was made Kazekage in the first place was because of how Naruto changed Gaara during the Chunin exams. When he first arrived at the cemetery of Konoha, he simply ignored all the sorrowful and pitiful looks from the people, but especially the ones that the rookies, Team Guy, their senseis and all the other people formerly closer to Naruto, including Tsunade herself, gave him. He just walked silently to his grave, Kankuro and Temari by his side. Flashback. Every attempt to talk to him was met with a sickening silence, until he reached the grave and looked at it with a motionless, but slightly disgusted face. It was impossible that the first person he really shared a bond with besides his siblings now laid 6 feet beneath him in a grave. Gently, he went on both of his knees, while both of his siblings placed a comforting hand on his shoulders, a look of sadness on both of their faces. The redhead ran his fingers over the name of his fallen brother gently, tracing every letter, every curve of the 3 words embedded in stone. "What have they done to you, brother?" he asked. "I hope the one responsible for this has been taken care of." He started, standing up and slowly leaving again. "Because if it hasn't, I will find him myself, and show him a second time why I'm called the ultimate weapon of the hidden sand village." He finished seething, leaving as fast as he entered. Tsunade. Ugh, I feel like shit. A certain redhead groaned in his mind, slowly opening his eyes. He was greeted with a plain white ceiling, and immediately recognized the structure of the unknown room, a hospital room. Good morning, Mr. Uzumaki Namikaze. He heard and turned around, spotting a middle-aged man in a white robe, apparently his doctor. "We have finalized all your requested experiments, and your body has endured them quite well. Here, I have the instructions from the files on how you start to train your new abilities. Since QB did a fine job to rebuild your body again, you're free to leave when you wish. The Kazekage invited you to a banquet in his estate. Turn right after you left the hospital, and you should already see it." "Alright, thanks, doctor." Naruto replied a bit hoarsely, grabbed the papers and stretched himself. Everything felt normal. "Well then, let's see Gaara," he thought, leaving the hospital in his battle gear again, and walked towards the Sabaku estate. Immediately, he saw the looks people gave him. Friendly smiles, some mercenaries even greeted him with a pat on the back after hearing what he accomplished in sound from Kankuro. "Wow, those people are so warm-hearted around here," he thought in awe until he reached the Sabaku estate. The Jinchuriki knocked on the door and waited, until a girl around his age opened the door. "Oh, hello, you must be Naruto-san." "Please, just Naruto is fine," he replied to the kind girl. "Okay, Naruto, the Kazekage is waiting for you inside. Your partners are here too," she said, letting him into the mansion. "The dining hall is down the corridor here," she instructed, following the guest. Naruto opened the gate and saw a monstrous hall, a table for 50 people, full of food, walls full of gold and paintings from former Sabaku family members, a cozy-looking fireplace, and Deidara, Karen, Kankuro, Temari and Gaara sitting at the end of the table. "Naruto, it's good to see you're on your feet again," Gaara said, smiling slightly as Naruto took the seat next to him, while Chuzai flew from Karen's shoulder onto his. He nuzzled his head playfully, while Naruto chuckled a bit and scratched his eagle's head affectionately. "Yeah, you know me, I can't stay lying down too long," the other Jinchuriki said, grinning sheepishly. "Thank you for bringing him here, Matsuri. Please, have a seat," the Kazekage said with an emotionless yet gentle voice. "But Gaara-sama," she stammered. "Stop it, Matsuri, how many times have I told you it's Gaara? Not Lord Kazekage, not Gaara-sama, just Gaara," he ordered sternly. His assistant blushed and nodded, something everyone in the room besides Gaara and Naruto seemed to notice as strange. "Some people like to be addressed so submissively by pretty girls, you know?" Deidara mused, causing Kankuro, Temari and Karen to laugh, Matsuri to blush even harder, and Naruto and Gaara to just look more confused. "What do you mean?" the confused Kazekage asked. Nothing. Old joke amongst mercenaries," Deidara answered dismissingly. Yes, I almost forgot. Naruto, please greet 2 of our new jonin and parts of the mercenary guild of Tsunade," the Shikaku Jinchuriki said, waving to Deidara and Karen. "What, you're jonin?" Naruto asked in awe. "Yeah, our last rank was jonin, so we were made jonin of Suna," Karen explained to her cousin. "And now you're both mercenaries as well?" "Yes, Naruto, they will be in a cell with me. We are missing one fighter though, and that's you," Kankuro added. "Yes, but before I will join you, I still have to take care of one thing." Naruto said, while digging into his food greedily. So you have a new target, and where might that be if I may ask? The intrigued Tsunade asked. Naruto took a gulp from his drink, and replied in one word, one single word that spoke complete stories, most of them wishing to never be told again. Konoha, Sabaku Estate. Konoha? What business do you have in Konoha? Gaara asked, intrigued. More to blow up? Deidara added, hopefully. No, I don't want to blow up Konoha. There are people in Konoha I do care about, and I'm in no position to threaten them or destroy the village they happily live in. As for my business there, Konoha denied me what's rightfully mine, and I fully intend to take it back. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki clarified. And what is that? Temari asked her guest. My heritage. A ghost from a man who lived 3 generations ago in a secret, hidden temple on the bottom of a lake was the one who told me for the very first time who my parents are. I mean, can you believe it? The son of the hero of Konoha, and not a single person minds telling me about it. He ranted, getting more and more aggressive and already gripping his swords. He breathed, and calmed down again, slowly letting go of the hilts of his weapons. Anyways, I know where the Namikaze estates are standing. I will go there, take everything from my father and maybe my mother that I can find inside, and come back. I won't let my legacy stay in this rotten place any longer than necessary. I will bring everything here, and build up my new life, now as a man of fortune, together with my new partners, friends and family. He finished, causing Deidara, Kankuro and Karen to smile. He smiled briefly as well, but his face quickly turned serious. That's why I'll have to go alone. You're all shinobi of Suna. Mercenaries or not, it will cause problems with Konoha, and they are very strong. True, but we're not allied with them anymore. The Kazekage said, to which Naruto replied with a confused stare. You were the reason we were allied in the first place. After you told me everything when you first reached Suna, I immediately knew that I can't let us be allied with them anymore. The council agreed. The Kazekage explained. You did not have to do that. Yes, I did. That was the breaking point, and I decided to take the necessary steps. Gaara told his friend. Still, I can't cause problems to Suna before I'm a ninja of Suna. To destroy Odo was for the common good as well, but this problem with Konoha is purely personal, and I'll do it myself. But how do you get into that house? Deidara asked the former Leaf Nin. If it's a family estate like our one here, then a drop of blood is enough to unseal the door and let him into the house. Kankuro answered the Bokuten user. And don't worry, I've outrun the ANBU of Konoha since I am 6. I know every little crevice of this place. If someone's perfect for infiltrating Konoha, it's me. Plus, I won't be completely alone. The knucklehead said, a cheeky grin plastered on his face, while his eagle made a mighty screech. They will see what a proper hunter is capable of, Chuzai told Naruto, who nodded, agreeing. Well then, we will prepare a few rations for you, so you can start your journey to Fire Country tomorrow in the morning. All of you can stay here today, especially after your last mission you need a proper rest. Gaara offered friendly, yet sternly. Speaking of which, what's with those experiments you stole? Did they work? The puppet user asked his future partner. Yes, they did. I left him the information on how to train his new abilities. The former Odo medic told Kankuro. What were those experiments anyways? You never told us. Temari asked interested, with Matsuri also listening up. The first is the Mokutan, wood style, the Kekei Genkai of the Shodai Hokage and my master, Hashirama Senju. The second one is from Kadamaru, one of the Sound Four we fought at the invasion during the Chunin exams. Specifically, I can now grow 2 additional arms from my shoulder blades. He said, causing the 2 girls to widen their eyes. A bloodline and 2 additional arms, you can really do that? Temari asked. I can try the arms, it says I have to focus chakra into my shoulder blades, and that I will start to feel it when I grow new arms. He referred from the instruction on the given piece of paper. He followed the instruction, and actually succeeded in growing 2 additional, healthy-looking arms, which he bent so the arms were on the height just above his head. Gaara's sister gaped like a fish, and his assistant fainted from shock. How does that feel? Deidara asked the Jinchuriki. Strange. It feels like it will be hard to coordinate them, and they feel as if they are I don't know more. Flexible? Karen concluded, getting a nod from her cousin. That's the specialty of these arms. You're able to bend them into more unnatural shapes, you can even spin them around and everything's fine, since your muscles and bones are all made from chakra. She finished her explanation, pushing up her glasses. Wow, cool. He said, trying to move all 4 arms. So that's the reason you have 4 swords, right? The Kazekage asked, while helping up a now conscious and again blushing Matsuri back into her seat. Yep, let me just try to grab them once. Then, everyone watched as he slowly led each hand to one hilt, and afterwards, one by one, unsheathed the swords. He tried to spin his 2 artificial arms, and was actually able to spin them around his wrist, creating 2 deadly razor blades. For everyone who didn't already, imagine General Grievous. Dude, you will be a monster on the battlefield like that, and I mean that in the good sense. Kankuro stated, getting agreeing nods from everyone. Naruto sheathed back his swords, and cut off the chakra from his additional arms, causing them to grow back and entirely dispel. Yeah, I just need a little time to get used to it. I'll skip the Mokuton techniques now and learn them once I've returned. To learn a completely new element, a Kekkei Genkai too, won't be that easy. The Jinchuriki told his friends, sitting back down to eat again. Well then, a toast to the newest mercenary cell of Suna, and hopefully, our next member. Kankuro spoke, raising his glass, which everybody followed suit, clinking their glasses in the middle. The next morning, Naruto stood at the gate of Tsunade, his battle gear and new features well hidden by a black cloak, which only revealed his red canine eyes. The hood on the cloak concealed his red mane. Are you sure you don't want our help out there? Kankuro asked the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Yes, I will take care of this myself. Naruto answered with steely eyes. Well then, make sure you come back in one piece, Gaki. It would be a shame to already lose such a promising artist. Deidara said with a cocky grin. Don't worry, I won't go down that easy. Naruto countered with his foxy grin. Good luck, Naruto, please be safe. Gaara told his fellow demon container. Please don't do anything stupid. Karen added worriedly. I will, Gaara, Karen-chan, and prepare a Hittite for me. He replied, turning around. His destination, Konoha. He started his walk through the endless dunes of Wind Country, and his thoughts drifted to his destination. He knew that after some time, he would have some interaction with the leaf again. It wasn't one of the strongest shinobi countries for nothing, their influence had a wide range. He smiled thinking about the people he cared about. Ayame and Tuchi Ichiraku, who were always nice and supportive, even though he obviously didn't have enough money to buy anything from them in the masses he did. Konohamaru, Moegi and Udan, who looked up to him like a brother. Hinata, who was also nice, but shy, and a bit weird. Plus, she always seemed to have a fever. Poor girl. Iruka, who was the first ninja besides the Sandaime to accept him as a human, even if he wasn't sure if he knew about Naruto's parents. Rock Lee, who was his best friend from the Konoha 11. Rock Lee was, without a doubt, the most optimistic person he had ever met. Together, they would run laps around the village, Naruto laughing like an idiot while Lee yelled about his burning flames of youth. Both were, for the normal eye, strange people, but they understood each other very well. Shizen, who was such a gentle person. To him, she was like a big sister who always protected him, even in the little time they knew each other, and besides Tsunade, she was the only advanced medic who wouldn't hesitate to treat him once injured. Bachan, Naruto frowned thinking of the old woman. He still couldn't believe that she did not tell him about his parents, even though she knew who they were. He thought that she would somehow be grateful for what he did to her, though apparently, it was not enough. Even the third, his own Gigi, hid their identity from him. He did not bring himself to really hate him, since he did so much for him in the time he was alive, but it still left him with an ill feeling. Now's not the time to dwell on the past, he thought, shaking his head. I've got a mission to do. With that final thought, he took off with a greater pace. A few days later, it was night. The sky was bright with countless stars, some stronger than others. You could hear the faint chirping sounds of crickets in the background, filling the night with a soothing, peaceful atmosphere. Naruto currently hid himself in the leaves of a tree, and eyed the familiar gate a few hundred meters ahead of him. His gaze fell on the two familiar guards, Izumo and Kotetsu, who seemed to be bickering about some irrelevant thing. The Jinchuriki snickered. Some things never change. He took off through the trees, going around the village, until he found a good spot at the Konoha wall. You ready, Chuzai? Yes, Hunter. Tools of the hunt, eagle flight. Naruto's eagle then flew into him and disappeared. In that moment, the Jinchuriki opened his feral eyes, and started to run towards the wall at full speed. Before he made contact with it, the boy jumped into the sky, and flew into the sky, over the wall, and the following houses. Strange up here, the village looks so nice and peaceful. He quickly spotted the former home of the Yondaime Hokage, and accelerated towards it. The gusting sound of the wind filled his ears and danced around his cloak, filling him with an undeniable feeling of freedom. Kai, he whispered, deactivating his flying ability, and dropped directly on the roof on the royal-looking mansion, while Chuzai flew out of his body and landed on his shoulder again. Immediately, the hunter felt the drawbacks of his technique. The pain in his wrists and his ankles was unbearable, and the outside world heard that through a silent scream through his gritted teeth. Everything all right, Hunter? His companion asked him. Yes, I just forgot how much that hurt, he whispered. Trying to bear through the discomfort, he limped on the 3-floor building, until he found a window he could climb into. Hey Chuzai, slash a bit into my thumb. The eagle complied, and drew a little blood from the thumb of his human partner. Naruto took his bleeding thumb, and smeared it across the window. Briefly, he saw a kanji seal appearing on the window. The young man pushed against the window, which opened itself. You can fly around a bit, Chuzai. It won't take too long. Yes, Hunter. He found himself in a corridor with an endless amount of doors. Maybe he had some sort of library. Naruto wondered, pushing open each door he saw. Mostly, he ran across empty bedrooms, kitchens, dining or living rooms. Even a few sparring rooms or rooms for meditating. A room for drawing and multiplying seals was among the sheer infinite amount of rooms. The staircase was the finest piece of art the hunter ever saw, even though Deidara would most likely disagree with him. The white walls were decorated with gold. There was a monstrous chandelier, with approximately 100 lights attached to it. Sometimes, there was the sign of Konoha, but sometimes there was just a swirl from the inside. The Jinchuriki widened his eyes and stopped dead in his tracks when he spotted one room on the first floor. There, on a modest-looking wooden door, was a sign with a name written on it. It was his name. Carefully, he made his way to the door and opened it. The whole room looked like it was made for a toddler. The walls were painted in a calming orange tone. There was a bed, similar to a cage without a roof. There were a few toys already placed there, and a few desks with scrolls. One scroll though caught his eye very quickly. His name stood there as well. He opened it, and it looked like a letter, though the handwriting was very poor. It looked like it was written very fast. Dear Naruto, if you read this, it means that I'm already dead. I write this as quick as possible, for the nine-tailed demon Kyuubi is attacking Konoha. I don't really like my plan, but it will be necessary. I will split the chakra of the Kyuubi, and seal a part of it in me, and one in you. Right now, you're the only one who can survive Kyuubi's chakra inside him. I will never see you grow up, and your mother won't too. It breaks my heart, but I know that together with Kyuubi's chakra, you will grow into a strong shinobi, stronger than me or your mother. To hold the Kyuubi at bay is a great task, and I feel very bad that I have to impose it on you, but I hope that Konoha will see you as a hero for your strength one day. I just know you will be strong. Your mother kisses you goodbye. She says that she is heartbroken to not see her boy grow up into the strong and handsome man his father was. Please Naruto, be safe. May the will of fire illuminate your path of life. We love you. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, your mom and dad. At the end of the letter, Naruto silently released tears, which slowly ran cheek, and followed his jawline down to his chin, where it gathered and fell down onto the floor. He wanted me to be a hero. Yes, Kit, I remember how he looked at you after he sealed me inside of you. Even though he died, he looked proud and happy. Spoke the Kyuubi. The child of the Yondaime clenched his fists and seethed in anger. If the way he was treated was normal for heroes, he did not want to know how villains would end up in Konoha. Calming himself down, he left the room again and looked for any scrolls his father might have left. In his search he found a few more bedrooms, one room with strange masks inside it which he did not recognize, until he reached what seemed to be Minato's workplace. Immediately his eyes were set on a scroll that laid on the desk of the small office. He opened it and read it. Dear heir of Clan Uzumaki and Namikaze, unfortunately, I built myself a reputation that made many enemies throughout the elemental nations. Therefore, I have set up a key precaution. On the bottom of this paper, you will find a seal that triggers other seals when activated. Every chamber, each angle of this house has such a seal. When activated with blood, those seals reverse themselves and flow into the seal on this paper. This means that it is possible to seal away the entire house, so it can be placed elsewhere if Konohagakure is unsafe. Another seal will copy and leave the outer parts of the house here, so there is no suspicion about your departure. The scrolls of my signature techniques, the Rasengan and the Hiraishin, will be sealed additionally, and they are to be found in my desk. Whoever you are, stay safe, honor and protect our name. Minato Namikaze, Yondaime Hokage of Konohagakure. I can see why he was called the master of Fuinjutsu. Naruto thought amused, as he followed the instructions from the scroll, drawing a bit more blood from his already wounded thumb. After he was blinded by a brief flash of light, he found himself not standing on solid ground anymore. He looked down to see the exact soil which was also in front of the door. Everything around him was gone, only the facade of the mansion remained. Naruto walked up the wall until he reached the very window he entered the estate with, and went up to the roof again. Hey Chuzai, I have one more place to go to, cover my back. Naruto ordered his flying eagle through their mind link. No problem, hunter, thrill of the hunt. Naruto concentrated himself, while he growled lowly. Growling, focus. After he was fully hidden in his technique, he sprinted over the roofs of the sleeping village, flashbacks coming with every time he saw a familiar place. The academy, Ichiraku's, even his old apartment were in sight. Then he reached his destination, the Konoha graveyard. He remembered the one time he was told that the Hokage and their family were buried in a separate section, and immediately sought it out, rushing through the countless names engraved in different kinds of tombstones. After a minute, he stumbled upon 3 graves. The grave of Minato Namikaze, Yondaime Hokage. The one of Kushina Uzumaki, red-hot-blooded habanero, and his, number 1 unpredictable ninja Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Really? When I'm dead, everyone can know who my parents are? Everyone but me? He seethed again, trying not to just release the Kyuubi and let him do his work. He looked down onto his modest but fine-looking grave, smiling at the several reminders of his childhood and time in the Leaf Village. He took the family picture he found, fully intending on hanging it into his new home. When he saw the picture of Team 7, he frowned. A picture of a team that never was won? No, not with me, the Jinchuriki thought. He placed the Kyuubi flame seal, the one he fought Kabuto with as well, whispered a quiet Moetsukuru, and let it burn in the crimson flames of the demon inside of him. Hunter, someone is behind you, she is closing in very fast. Naruto immediately reacted, jumped to the side and landed with a graceful roll, dodging the deadly punch that was almost thrown into the back of his head. Naruto swore he could smell a trail of alcohol. Slowly looking up the familiar-looking green robe, he met eyes with his attacker, Crimson met Amber. Who are you? How dare you destroy a reminder of Naruto? The strong, confident voice of the blonde-haired woman in front of him rang out through the night. Tools of the hunt, eagles descend. He whispered silently, while Chuzai nodded in the air and flew into the forest. Answer me. Umbu. The woman yelled with an angry face, four agents appearing on her side in a cloud of smoke. I'm surprised, the deep voice of Naruto started, that the Hokage would care for such a hated child. I don't recall hearing such strong words towards him while he was alive. Inwardly wincing, Tsunade's voice shouted again. TSK, what would you know about him? To me, he was one of the most important people I ever knew. You have one chance. Surrender immediately and go into prison for disturbing the dead, or die right here, right now. Yeah, right. I received a lot of punches for being so important. Too bad. The concealed Jinchuriki spoke sinisterly. I don't really feel like doing any of those things. The woman's eyes narrowed in annoyance, and she ordered, Anbu, take him out and put him into prison. Hi! They yelled out like a choir, each of them drawing their swords. Naruto pushed himself to his feet, and narrowly dodged all of the slashes the Anbu attempt to do on him. Futon, Daitapa, wind style, great breakthrough. A gust of wind appeared from behind Naruto and threw back the soldiers, which landed on their feet and slided back on the ground, some pushing their swords into the soil to control their slide. As much as I would like to continue our little dance, I've got places to be, and Kami be my witness. Konoha is the last place on this list. The hooded Naruto told the 5 shinobi in front of him. As if on cue, the sound of not one, but thousands of yelling eagles reached the village from the night sky. Surprised, Tsunade and her 4 Anbu soldiers looked up to see thousands of eagles flying, while they dropped stones with seals attached to them. The stones were only 100 meters above the earth, and they accelerated menacingly. When the stones were on height of the ninja's head, Naruto released a loud HA. Suddenly, the stones exploded like smoke bombs, spreading the sight-taking gas throughout the whole cemetery. Anbu, quick! Chase after him. The busty Hokage ordered through her coughs. Her agents reacted and followed the sounds of quickly retreating steps, from the cemetery up to the roofs of the houses. Hey Kit, what? Naruto asked the demon conscient inside of him. How about some music while you're running? The author thinks it's cool to include music into his fiction when the time is right. Huh? Music? Asked the running Naruto. When he heard the music inside of his head, he rolled his eyes. I don't want to know your name, 'cause you don't look the same, the way you did before. Okay, you think you got a pretty face, but the rest of you is out of place. You looked alright before. You think you're really fine, huh, furball? The annoyed shinobi thought. Yes, have fun running for your life, Kit. The demon snickered from behind his cage. Thrill of the hunt, he whispered, hiding his body at least visually. Fox on the run. You scream and everybody comes a running. Take a run and hide yourself away. Foxy on the run. Fox on the run and hide away. Are you finished? He asked annoyed. Come on, let me have my fun when I already have to be in this confinement. He snickered again, with a bright, toothy grin. The former Leaf Neen looked behind him and gritted his teeth, noticing how the Anbu still heard his steps. In front of him were less and less houses, since he closed into the city wall already. This will hurt, but I'll have to do it. Tools of the hunt, eagle flight. His eagle companion descended headfirst from the skies, and flew into him. The Jinchuriki jumped from the last house and flew over the wall, straight back into the forest he came from. After half a minute, when he noticed that his enemies weren't behind him anymore, he dropped himself into the closest tree. The young man landed on a branch, and sat down. Arg, damn it. My coils seem to be okay, but this hurts. He told his companion, who, again, left his body and stood on his lap. Just train it more often and it should get better. I won't get anywhere alone today. Het muttered, and then concentrated himself to call for an animal. A few moments later, he heard a horse under him. Carefully, he climbed down the massive tree and laid himself down on the horse, ordering it to ride back to Suna. And now, a nice long sleep, the Jinchuriki thought, diving into the land of dreams. Konohagakure. Anbu, where is he? The Hokage asked sternly. We're sorry, Hokage-sama, but he escaped. One of the ninjas stammered, to which their leader narrowed her eyes. I'm disappointed in you. You're the elite of this village, how could you let him escape? As a punishment, you will train with Might Guy and Rock Lee tomorrow in the morning. But Hokage-sama, one of the ninjas said fearfully. You heard me right. Now get out of my sight, and be grateful I don't demote you. She yelled. The Anbu nodded and disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Why would he attack the picture of Naruto and his team? She thought sadly, while leaving her office with a bottle of sake. Tsunade. A few days later, Naruto walked to the building of the Suna Council. After reaching the outside walls of Suna, he was told by the guards that he was to report to the council as soon as possible. Entering the building, he was greeted by the familiar sight of Shinobi Council on one and Civilian Council on the other side, while the village elders and the Kages sat in the middle. Only now, it was in Suna and not Konoha. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the emotionless voice of Gaara, began after a vote by the Council of Suna. You are hereby offered the rank of Genin of Tsunade, and additionally a place in the Mercenary Guild of Tsunade. Your cell would be Sabaku no Kankuro, Karen Uzumaki and Deidara. As an independent force, you are allowed to accept work from anyone and against anyone, but your loyalty stays with Suna. Any actions against Suna will not be tolerated. Do you accept? Yes, of course. He shouted excitedly, getting chuckles from most people and a small smile from Gaara. Then he started, leering in a swirl of sand. Directly in front of him, I give myself the honor to give you your Hittite. Wear it with pride. This meeting is dismissed. He finished, giving Naruto his headband, who strapped it around his right arm like Deidara and Karen did. Hey, can you come to our camp with me? I need your help. Naruto asked and Gaara nodded. When they reached the camp, they were greeted by Karen, Deidara and Kankuro, who all smiled. News seemed to spread fast. Well, look who's a new mercenary of Suna. Kankuro shouted happily. Hey, it took you long enough, brat. Deidara said with his cocky grin. I'm happy you're back, Naruto-kun. Did you find anything in Konoha? His cousin asked. Yes, I did. Please remove all the things that are here, tents and everything. He requested, getting confused looks by everyone, though his partners complied. Naruto opened his scroll and activated the seal at the bottom with his blood, creating a huge cloud of smoke. When it went away, the Namikaze mansion in all its glory was revealed. Dude, the hell is that? Kankuro shouted loudly. The mansion of Minato Namikaze. Apparently, Dad was afraid that Konoha might not be safe one day, and built up this mechanism which seals away the entire house and leaves only a copy of the outer walls behind. There are so many rooms inside, and since this is rightfully my home, I took it with me. Those will be our new headquarters. He finished. Hey, this will be a fine home. Good job, Gaki. Deidara said, patting Naruto's shoulder. While I'm happy that you found what you searched for, why did you need me? The Kazekage asked his friend. Leaf Nin, who passed this building, will recognize it. Even though the outer walls are still in Konoha, they will get suspicious. I want you to make some special facade with your sand, if that's possible. Gaara widened his eyes slightly and nodded, already enabling his sand and wrapping it against the Namikaze mansion. Dude, by the way, you are the leader of our cell. Kankuro said, drawing a surprised expression from the Jinchuriki. Me? Why, you brought us together. Karen started matter-of-factly. We were lost souls in the shinobi world, but you gave us a purpose. We are outcasts, freaks and slaves, not accepted and ridiculed. Here, we are all the same, we will be a team. Yeah, I agree. We all don't know each other very well yet, but we have a feeling how everyone here is. For the first time, I feel comfortable in a team, and you brought me here, Gaki. So be sure to lead us like a true artist. Deidara finished with his cocky smile, though it was more sincere than its usual version. We already did a few jobs, but noticed that we lack one of the most important things, a name. We need something that distinguishes us. So, my leader, who are we? Kankuro asked Naruto, who was now deep in thought. The redhead turned himself to his mansion, and saw the new, finished facade. It was in a deeper shade of brown, similar to the color of wet sand. The walls were decorated with eagles, lions and other predators, and a fox and a tanuki on each side of the entrance door. Beaming with a satisfied smile, he said, We are the Desert Hunt, Tsunade Namikaze mansion. Everyone quickly found a nice bedroom for themselves. There was more than enough space, obviously. Naruto changed a few things, so there were no Konoha signs or other symbols of alliance left inside the mansion. The Desert Hunt prepared to initiate itself as a worthy mercenary cell. Kankuro went out to look for jobs, since his reputation in Suna as the Kazekage's brother was the best from all of them. Deidara prepared and managed the weaponry, even tagging papers with seals to various objects and weapons like Naruto requested. Karen started to manage their medical equipment, while their leader, Naruto, managed their rations, and otherwise studied his new big project, the wood style. One of the very side effects of the wood style was his now distinct earth affinity, and that, together with his natural wind affinity, gave him the ability to experiment a bit and try to mix up the two elements. While the others did their respective work, he was already finished with his and now did basic wood style training. His first task was to simply form and manipulate a single Jinchuriki. Remembered the first sentences of the scroll he read over and over again. The 5 basic elemental affinities all take their own place in nature and have their own purposes. Therefore, wood is the most special. It isn't simply one element of nature, or even two mixed together. Wood is nature. It creates air and therefore wind, it feeds off water and earth, and is destroyed by fire and lightning. Wood combines each element, and gives it another purpose. In order to understand wood, you unite yourself with nature, you act as a part of it, and use it to your will. Feel the connection to everything, not just to one thing which works against something different. Wood is the ultimate force of nature, having the ability to even control and suppress demonic chakra. It is everything. Feel the connection to everything, not just one thing, Naruto thought, over and over again. He closed his eyes, and remembered how he concentrated in his wind-style training. He focused simply on the feeling in the air, how it passed around him, through his hair. He tried to expand this feeling. The gusting of wind, the flowing of water, the crumbling of earth, the burning of fire and the roaring of lightning, while focusing on the wooden ground he stood on. Wood is everything, he thought, and tried to form a root. Wood is everything, he thought, while the ground in front of him stirred a bit. It is the ultimate force of nature, it gives everything a purpose, he thought. After a bit of stronger concentration, he managed to lift a wooden plank from the ground. Then the feeling hit him. It was like the wood was an extension of his body, like the plank was another arm. He tried to suppress and twist it to form a root. Slowly, after half a minute, he managed to actually form a half-meter-long root, which looked like a wooden snake. He carefully tried to move into all directions from all angles, but was only able to do it at a slow pace. Currently, it was definitely not helpful in combat. He was interrupted by a knock on the door. "Yeah, who is it?" the hunter told, while carefully dropping the wooden plank back into its actual place. "It's me, Karen. Can I come in?" The clear and stern, yet soft voice of his cousin called out. "Yes, of course," he replied, turning to the opening door. The familiar sight of his red-haired relative and teammate greeted him. "What do you need, Karen-chan?" he asked. "It's about your swords. May I look at them?" she asked with her typical analytical gaze. He looked confused, but complied nevertheless, and unsheathed his 4 katanas, holding them out to her. "Why, what's wrong with them?" the hunter asked, searching for an answer in her deep-in-thought face. She watched the 4 weapons presented to her intently, and tried to search out for anything different or suspicious. Then she felt it. It was similar when she saw the Kyuubi in Naruto, but so much stronger and darker. Violence, darkness, bloodlust. Every possible aggressive emotion was so deeply concentrated into this weapon that it made her shiver slightly. "Naruto-kun, be careful when you handle these. I can sense a deep-rooted bloodlust in them, and I'm afraid they can influence or pollute your mind as well," she told, pushing up her glasses. He nodded, looked at his weapon, but then grinned sheepishly. "Yeah, Master already told me that. Don't worry about that, Karen-chan. No ancient weapon can change me. Believe it." Though not fully convinced, she smiled slightly at his childish antics and nodded. "Very well, I hope so. Oh, Karen-chan, I have a question." She nodded. "Go ahead, what's your question? You're an Uzumaki, right? So do you also have our bloodline, and can you help me to train them?" he asked, intrigued. "Yes, I have the chakra chains and can fully control them. However, I can't help you if you haven't activated them yet. Our bloodline is activated in a strong moment of panic or despair, where we actually fear for our lives." Naruto was disappointed, but nodded, knowing Karen couldn't help him with the ability. "When did you activate them?" Karen sighed and had a faraway look in her red eyes, replying, "If you bite my arm you're fully healed, you already know that. Back in Kyusugakure, I was abused for my ability. Once, I was chased and cornered by furious and desperate ninja and civilians, who yelled at me to use my power to heal someone. I was terrified, and closed my eyes. And then, they just shot out. The chains wrapped around them. I did not think and ran away again," she finished, shuddering a bit from painful memory of her childhood. "Don't worry, Karen-chan, I won't let anyone use you like that again. Noon does that to my family, even though your ability is really cool." She looked back at his childishly smiling yet sincere face, telling her that every word leaving this boy's mouth was the truth. He had what she craved for so long, the true love of family. She smiled again, and bowed her head a bit. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. Or, since you're my cousin, Naruto and I-san?" she asked. He smiled brightly, and replied, "Yes, that's fine, Karen-chan." Both smiled a bit silently, until Karen remembered. "Oh, by the way, Kankuro found a job for us, but he was in a really bad mood. We should look what it is," she said, to which he nodded and left the training room. They reached a former dining room in the 2nd floor, which they quickly rearranged to an assembly room for their meetings. Already, the two of them heard the angry, no, the furious and murderous voice of the puppet master. You should have seen his smug face. Oh, how much I would want to use my Iron Maiden against him, this stupid, narcissistic son of a bitch, he roared for the entire floor to hear. The cousins looked to each other and shrugged, opening the door to walk into an amusing sight. Kankuro, stepping around the assembly room with a face red from anger and throwing a tantrum, while Deidara sat on one of the chairs in the room with his feet on the table, ignoring the words of Kankuro and playing around with a handful of clay. "What's with him?" Naruto asked Deidara loud enough to hear him. The clay user shrugged while still looking on the white mass in his hands. "He was like that when he came in already, just shouting about someone. I started to ignore it after a while," he answered nonchalantly. Naruto nodded and walked over to the shouting Sannin. He simply slapped him, interrupting his tantrum and causing him to fall on the ground. The puppet master looked even more furious than before and yelled, "Dude, what the hell is wrong with you?" Naruto, now equally pissed, yelled back, "With me? What the hell is wrong with you? I would be surprised if the whole shinobi world hasn't heard your shouting yet. The hell made you that pissed?" Kankuro's anger then switched from his partner to his original target. "Grr, it's Akira and his group, the Abyss. They are an independent mercenary group but have an excellent reputation. In our world, reputation is everything, and because of his flawless one, he tends to get nearly all the jobs. I was in one of the pubs, and he was there with his partners, getting contracts thrown at him as if he was a stripper and the contracts were money. And his face, oh his face, how I would love to reshape it." Deidara asked, "So why don't we do it then?" Kankuro gritted his teeth. He has so much influence, and has nearly 100 men. We, unfortunately, are only 4. To turn against him is to turn against all of his allies and the entire Abyss. They are good, and I doubt anything besides one of Deidara's ultimate bomb can kill them all just like that. But shouldn't our reputation already be awesome? You and me infiltrated the Orochimaru mansion and managed to escape, and Deidara alone wiped out the entire village. Naruto asked confused. This proves that we can kill a few weak guards and cause destruction. But can we protect a client? Can we secure an important payload? Can we track and hunt down a target, all of us? I did a few of these things already, but did you? Noon knows that, and until we did all of those things and did them well, our reputation stays as it is. Promising yet young. He finished his explanation solemnly. Everyone nodded and though about the new pieces of information. Besides a fortune which could be in sight, a reputation was the key to a successful new life. You did manage to get a job for us though, what is it? Karen asked. Yeah, a contract by the Wave Daimyo. Apparently, a few missing Nins are terrorizing Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, so they sent out a courier to Suna. Nami no Kuni, huh? Great, I can see how that drunken old man, Tsunade and Inari are. Naruto smiled, reminiscing about his first mission outside of Konoha. He started to speak again. Well then, guys, we can care about this Akira guy later. Now pack your stuff and prepare. We'll go to Nami no Kuni. Deidara, have you prepared the kunai I asked for? Yep, here they are. The clay user exclaimed, throwing a pouch of kunai to his leader. Then let's go, guys. Naruto yelled out to his partners, pumping his fist into the air. The desert hunt prepared itself for its first job, collecting all tools necessary, and hopped onto Deidara's clay bird, flying to Wave Country. After a while, they reached the border of fire to Wave Country, and found themselves a fitting place to land soon afterwards, a nice clearing in a forest. The group walked into the direction of the main village, until they closed into a gigantic bridge. Directly in front of the bridge, there was a sign of stone with a few engravings. We honor this bridge to our savior from the oppression of Gato, and the hero of Nami no Kuni. Welcome to the great Naruto Bridge. I can't believe Tsunade named the bridge after me. Naruto muttered in awe, reading the sign over again. You have an own bridge? Kankuro asked curiously. Apparently. It was the first mission of my old team outside of Konoha. We fought against Zabuza and his friend Haku. Zabuza was a violent ninja, and Haku, he was just like me. Both died as good people and honorable shinobi, though. Wait, you were the ones who defeated the demon of the Bloody Mist? Deidara asked, genuinely surprised. The Jinchuriki nodded. Yes, we did not kill him though. He died because of the wounds he received from Gato's thugs until he could reach and kill him. Come, we will go into town. The group walked silently through the lively town in Wave Country, getting mostly confused looks. Probably because of the strange pairing of Hitayatesh. Wow, this place is so much bigger than I remember. No wonder that's the capital of Nami no Kuni, thought Naruto. A few minutes of walking, the mercenaries reached a huge marketplace. Pushcarts blocked their view to the other side of the place, filled with different kinds of exotic food and ingredients, spices, clothes, and weapons. At the end of the marketplace, the Tsunade could not miss the gigantic-looking palace with samurai guards in front of it. The palace of the Wave Daimyo. Halt, Tsunade. What are you doing here? One of the guards spoke, hands on the hilt of their katanas. We are mercenaries from Suna, the ones your daimyo hired for your missing Nin problem. Kankuro answered, showing the business contract from the Wave Courier. The guards briefly checked the contract, and talked again. All right, we'll escort you to our daimyo. Keep your hands where we can see them. The samurai instructed, with 2 standing in front of the Suna group, and 2 standing behind them. The group closed in towards a large iron gate on a red carpet. Clearly the way to the throne room of the daimyo. Entering the majestic throne room, the group was greeted by the sight of a whole dozen samurai guards, an even shinier and more golden room, and the strong smell of sake. Apparently, the daimyo was enjoying his second bottle of the strong liquor, clearly making his guards uncomfortable. Naruto furrowed his red eyebrows. He could swear he knew the old, bearded face of the man of royalty sitting in front of him. What do you want here? Began the slightly sluggish voice of the ruler. The group leader's eyes widened. He definitely knew this voice as well. Tsunade? Naruto answered, to the surprise of his group and anger of the guards. Talk with more respect, stranger. You are here as our guest, roared the samurai, unsheathing his sword, causing Kankuro and Deidara to reach for their respective weapons as well. Naruto held up his hand to signal his partners to calm down. Who are you to call me by my name like that, boy? Spoke Tsunade. Hey, for saving your ass against Zabuza, you surely are very ungrateful, old man. The Jinchuriki spoke, pulling down his face mask to reveal his smiling, whiskered face. The leaders and samurai's eyes nearly popped out of their skulls in surprise. Tsunade stumbled on his feet, and walked to his former savior. How's that possible? Naruto? Course, Gramps. He laughed, causing Tsunade to laugh heartily as well and envelop the young man in a tight hug. What the hell are you doing here? We were told you were dead, and the hell's wrong with your headband, kid? Hee hee about that. A lot of storytelling later. What? Get me those punks, I'll kill them all. The Wave Daimyo screamed, taking a sword from one of his samurai. He walked towards the giant entrance. Wait, Gigi, come back. You are a daimyo, you can't just go and fight people. Ah, you're right. Commander, mobilize all your forces. I want you to slaughter every single one of their brethren. But my lord, Konoha is far too powerful for. I don't care. How dare they spit on our hero like that? I want them to pay for that. No, he is right, Tsunade. Konoha is far too powerful for Wave, and you don't have any ninja. Besides, I don't want you to kill them. Everyone in favor of slaughter, raise your hands. Called out Deidara while raising his right hand, causing Tsunade to immediately raise his hand as well. Naruto looked at Deidara with a sarcastic thank you look, while Kankuro chuckled, Karen facepalmed and Deidara grinned cheekily. The leader started to talk again. Anyway, that isn't the reason we came here. Your courier told us you had problems with a bunch of missing nins here? Trying to calm himself down, Tazuna sighed and rubbed his temples. Yes, some punks are messing with us. They attack our trade ships and caravans, raid the smaller villages around here and disappear into their camps again. They are shinobi, and my samurai have a hard time to defend themselves against them. That's why we're here, Gigi. We'll take care of them, believe it? Naruto said, getting nods from his group and a smile from Tazuna. I'm glad you're here, you can really help us, I know it. The talk was interrupted by a samurai entering the hall through the door. My lord, your other guests are here. Tazuna was briefly confused, though he was widening his eyes immediately. Naruto meanwhile pulled up his face mask. Sighing, the daimyo said, okay, bring them in. He turned to Naruto and started to speak again. You see, those nins have 2 camps, so a bigger and a smaller one. You're 4, so we hired you for the smaller camp. And Ahihei, we kinda hired another group. Normal shinobi though, not mercenaries. Oh okay, and who did you hire? Naruto asked innocently. Before the daimyo could answer, the door opened again, causing everyone to turn towards the door. When the groups of people saw each other, they were immediately on edge. Naruto examined the group closely. There were 2 figures in front of 6 younger figures. He figured they would be jonin teams. One of the figures in front was a tall and brown-skinned man, with black hair and a black beard. The other figure was a slender, white-skinned woman with brown hair, crimson eyes and bandages all over her body. Then he briefly scanned the younger persons behind them. They looked like they were his age. A boy with black pineapple-shaped hair, a chubby boy with brown hair and red marks on his cheeks, and a girl with a platinum blonde ponytail. The other group consisted of a boy completely concealed by his jacket and sunglasses, a boy with an enormous dog besides him and a girl with lavender, pupilless eyes. The worst thing, though, was a single detail. Naruto tried to calm himself down seeing those headbands. They were from Konoha, and Naruto knew every single person standing in front of him. He tried to remember the words he told Tazuna, that he didn't want to kill anyone, but to see those people was a different story than talking about them. The Konoha nin were on edge as well. The mercenaries already looked threatening, and especially the masked one with his Konoha headband and his venomous, red-eyed gaze. Trying to kill the awkward silence, the bearded Konoha nin coughed to get the daimyo's attention, and started to talk. Team Asuma and Team Kurenai from Konoha. We are here to help you with the missing nins. Ah yes, Asuma-san. As I already instructed those mercenaries here, we need your help at the bigger camp of those delinquents. Here, those are papers with the instructions to find the camps. Come back here if you need any help, or are finished with your work. Good luck. Tazuna gave Naruto and Asuma a scroll each, which then left the palace next to each other in awkward silence. The next thing happening though surprised everyone. The dog walking with the feral-looking boy from Kurenai's group walked over to Naruto, causing everyone to stand dead in their tracks. The white dog sniffed Naruto up and down, and started to wiggle his tail violently after some time while barking happily. The feral boy was the most confused and asked, Hey Akamaru, what are you doing with this dude? Akamaru barked even more, while Naruto tried to not move at all. He looks very happy to see him, Kiba. Troublesome, muttered the pineapple-haired boy. I can see that, Shikamaru. I'm just wondering why. Hey, you there, redhead. Who the hell are you? The Jinchuriki's red-slitted eyes found Kiba's black ones. I really don't think I want to talk with you, Kiba, answered Naruto with a dead voice, spitting out Kiba's name as if it was the vilest thing he could think of. Kiba was one of the worst people he had to handle in his age group. Of course he didn't have any ill feelings towards Akamaru for obvious reasons, but he is still surprised to be greeted so warmly by him. What did you say? Big words for a traitor like you. How dare you even slash that headband, let alone wear it afterwards? I'm not obligated to answer any questions from you, mutt, countered the mercenary. Come here and call me that again, said Kiba, who stepped towards Naruto. Kiba-kun, we shouldn't start a fight here, came the timid voice of the lavender-eyed girl. Hinata is right, Kiba, knock it off. Kurenai called out to her student, who gritted his teeth, but stopped his tantrum and called back Akamaru. Hey, you there? Kiba's right though. Akamaru likes you, so we should know you. Who are you? And what is the brother or the Kazakage doing here? So troublesome, asked Shikamaru. The brother of the Kazakage? Wait, you are those people, right? Asuma said, immediately on edge. What do you mean those people, sensei? Asked the munching voice of the brown-haired boy. Well, Chuji, I only mean the 4 people who fought Orochimaru, survived and then annihilated the entire village of his. The smoker answered, stunning the group from Konoha. Ah yes, my finest piece of art yet, yeah, yelled Deidara. If you excuse us, I'm here to earn my money, not to talk with the kinds of you, said Naruto. His group started to leave towards his destination, before Asuma's voice called out again. You're lucky that we met here, and that you seem to be an official Suna mercenary force. I can't ensure our next encounter will go out this peaceful. The group stood still briefly, and without turning back, the addressed boy answered, Good, then I'm happy to see you on the battlefield soon. The groups left into their respective opposite directions, without a conflict. Though, in the far future, a conflict seems to be unavoidable, when the rain turns to blood, and the clouds turn red. Nami no Kuni. The desert hunt left the village into the south, as the instructions from the daimyo Tsunade told them to. Their surroundings were a really dense forest, which made it particularly easy to run over the branches from tree to tree. Suddenly though, Deidara felt a brief impact on his shin, something like a very thin line. Duck! He called out. Without thinking, everyone quickly dropped themselves to hold the next branch instead of standing on it. A millisecond later, they heard the swooshing sound of possibly 1,000 kunai flying through the space they just stood in. After the wave of steel disappeared, everyone climbed back onto the branches. Stepping into an exaggerated death trap instead of setting one up. What a refreshing experience. The artist said, getting incredulous looks from everyone. Yep, definitely a basket case. Everyone thought and nodded to themselves. Guys, looks like there is a clearing. I suppose that's where the camp of those people are. Started the leader Naruto to the group. Okay, my turn. They'll make a lovely firework. Spoke Deidara to the group. No, you shouldn't forget that our objective is not only to kill those people, but also find out who they are, and why they attack Wave Country. Kankuro interjected. First we should see the camp, then we'll figure something out. Finalized Naruto, syncing with his airborne partner again. He flew an entire round over the camp, and immediately left the sight of his partner after he noticed a tiny detail. Naruto's eyes opened, and he immediately drew 2 of his swords, countless ninja closing in. Some went into the trees, some are still on the ground. They must have heard the traps. Karen deduced, getting into a battle stance herself. Everyone ready? Kankuro asked, summoning his 3 puppets and Kabuto. Born ready. Let's blow him up. Deidara yelled, smiling like a maniac. Attack! Naruto commanded. The desert hunt split up into 2 groups, with Deidara and Naruto going up the trees, and Kankuro and Karen dropping to the ground. They saw the enemy 100 meters away. Every single one of them was hiding underneath a black cloak, barely revealing their faces, hands and feet. Deidara created an opening for himself and sent away 5 little masses of clay, which destroyed the trees into little pieces of wood, and threw around some of the hiding ninja like ragdolls. Trying to be sneaky, huh? Well, 2 can play that game. Here, a jutsu an old friend of mine gave me the idea for. Naruto started, going through a few hand seals. His left hand went in front of his mouth, his index and middle finger spread to create a shush position, and his right hand going up, fingers in the same formation. Tsunade no Jutsu, hidden sand jutsu. A sandstorm appeared right behind Naruto, spreading in a cloud-like form and following him. The sand effectively shut off the sight for everyone, bathing the woods in a thick, brown-beige layer of the earthen material. Unfortunately, Deidara wasn't able to see either. Quickly, he rose up the trees again and hopped onto his bird, looking down into the sandstorm. What the hell is that? He asked himself. With Karen and Kankuro, the 2 mercenaries kept the enemies at bay quite well. Karen threw the enemy Nin into the trees with her chains, while Kankuro held off most of the storm with his puppets. They too noticed the sandstorm approaching them. A sandstorm? In this area? Karen wondered perplexed. The duo, as well as the missing Nin, lost sight of what's ahead of them, and tried to attack blindly, none of them accurately succeeding. A few unlucky rogues even managed to hit each other. Karen, can you hear me? Kankuro shouted out, climbing onto a tree. He futilely tried to get an overview over the situation. Yes, I can. I would prefer to see you, though. The redhead answered. Both had to dodge incoming ninja which immediately dashed at them once they revealed their location by yelling. We'll have to work this out somehow. Come to me, we'll try standing back to back. Kankuro shouted, feeling the contact of a smaller frame behind him. Okay, let's try it. The ninja kept charging at them like beasts attacking their prey, but the only thing that was able to give them a direction was the previous sound. The fight mostly consisted of Kankuro and Karen blindly throwing out their puppets and chains. Sometimes one of them had a lucky shot, with Kankuro slaying the Nin with his Kabuto puppet or Karen hurling an enemy into the ground with a loud smashing sound. The chain user then grasped a particularly resistant enemy with her chains. She wrapped a chain around each limb, and one around the neck. Karen then started to pull her chains back in hopes of ripping her enemy apart. Kankuro, try helping me. I don't know which jutsu this one's using, but he is really persistent. I can't, my Kabuto puppet seems to be under attack, and the other ones are busy too. Karen stood with a solid stance, wrapping chains around her feet to stabilize herself, and pulled with all of her might. She heard a few nasty crack sounds, and finally managed to rip out every single limb of her enemy plus its head. When they flew at them and she was hit by the force she pulled the body parts with, she noticed that there was a lot of flesh and blood missing. The pieces felt like wood. Damn, my Kabuto puppet is broken! Kankuro shouted, having trouble deflecting the incoming Nin. Oh fuck, this was Kankuro's puppet, Karen thought. Her thought ended with receiving a particularly nasty hit into her face, knocking her out cold. She landed on the earthen forest floor with a very clear thud. Karen? Karen! Kankuro shouted. When he didn't get an answer, he jumped a bit away and positioned his remaining 3 puppets in front of him. The user tried to prepare himself for the incoming rogues. Well, how do I do this now? Naruto and Deidara. Naruto wasn't having difficulties with the sand. It was something he was very capable of enduring, particularly the sight problem. He was advancing well, but the number of enemies was too much for him. Deidara was up above the trees sitting on his bird. The Bokuten user too was unable to see anything inside the storm. Fortunately, he had a solution. Well, at least a Deidara solution. Naruto, try to dodge, I will make it rain, the flying ninja said, throwing the clay bombs he prepared. Naruto deflected a few kunai blows with his 2 swords, until he briefly looked up. The Jinchuriki saw the rain of clay descending onto the ground, which made his eyes widen. Naruto quickly hopped from tree to tree, his breath quickening with every explosion he heard behind him. Already running at max speed, Naruto heard the explosions coming closer to him, dangerously close. A few of his clothes already caught a bit fire. Wait, I forgot my seals, Naruto thought, quickly searching his bags for one of his prepared kunai. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Naruto panicked. Before he could search another bag, a clay bomb detonated right behind his lower back, sending him flying with an increased pace. Naruto shortened a few trees he flew through, until he slammed face first into the ground, not moving a muscle anymore. Slowly, the sandstorm started to vanish, leaving the battlefield open to everyone's eyes again. Naruto and Karen laid on the ground, unconscious and bruised. Around Karen and Kankuro, there were a few corpses, some in the ground, some hanging in the trees. The most brutal scene was the field hit by Deidara's bombs. The nature which was once there was entirely obliterated, with a gigantic fire spreading through the trees. The people unlucky enough to be in the explosion radius were torn apart by the sheer force of the bombs. Limbs laid around, and blood was splattered everywhere, painting the ashes red. Then a voice rang out. It came from one of the rogues. A slim figure, with a hood covering basically his whole body, only leaving his pale feet visible for the outside. You there! The figure shouted in a strange voice, pointing to a group of his men. Quick, extinguish the fire. The rest take this girl and leave. Maybe she's worth something. No, Karen! Kankuro shouted, charging towards Karen to save her. A few of the rogues intercepted him and attacked his 3 original puppets. You gentlemen will regret attacking us. Group B, stay here and take care of the rest. Everyone else, come with me, we will return to the main camp. The figure shouted, and jumped into the trees with the other rogues. By the time he was finished talking, Deidara already landed on the ground, and quickly followed the group of ninja. No, Deidara, come back! Kankuro shouted, but to no avail. The blonde and the group of rogues were already gone. Kankuro was now alone, surrounded by 6 rogues. He was able to throw the 3 in front of him away with his puppets, hurling them into the trees. Kankuro quickly turned around to deflect the incoming attacks with the wooden arms of the puppets. One of his puppets flew from side to side, landing powerful strikes into his enemies' torsos. The other puppet extended its arms and scooped all 3 of them into what looked like a hug. The puppet flew through the air, spinning and descending towards the mouth of the last puppet. In the last moment, the scorpion puppet opened its arms. The momentum of the rogues threw them towards the open mouth, which spit out a torrent of fire. Kurohiji, Sanai Hajiki. Black Art, the 3 great tragedies. The 3 missing nin were engulfed in the destructive heat, not making a sound anymore. Kankuro breathed heavily. His previous fight and now this attack had drained him of most of his energy. Naruto? He turned around to look for his remaining partner. The last thing he saw was an incoming fist. Then the puppet master's world went black. Naruto. The Jinchuriki groaned and slowly pushed his body off the ground. With his arms, which felt 3 times heavier than before, he slowly heaved himself off the ground and onto his knees. Every muscle and every bone in his body felt as if it was on fire. A cough released a bit of blood from his mouth. Once he was standing on a bit shaky feet, he turned around and took a look on the battlefield in front of him. Corpses, burned ground and trees, but no one there he knew. Guys? Guys, where are you? He asked. No answer. Naruto decided to slowly stumble towards the abandoned camp, figuring his team already fought its way through. The camp was really simple, but practical. It reminded of a Roman camp. Numerous tents built up for the rogued, and at the end of a little path, there was the leader's tent. Naruto walked to the leader's tent. It was furnitured rather simple as well. A desk with a wooden chair, a little bed and a table with 2 chairs and not fully eaten meals. Quickly, Naruto walked to the desk and looked through it. He mostly found contracts which were already fulfilled, nothing interesting at all. One letter raised his attention, but he couldn't define what it meant. By whatever name you go by, this is unacceptable. We do accept most of the conditions of our task, even you taking such a large amount of my men, but the money you want to pay us for this job is far too little. If we can't make a good deal on the payment, then this contract is over. Naruto dropped the letter and walked out of the tent. He still didn't see any of his teammates, and wondered where they went. Oh wait, the communication seal. Naruto remembered, activating it with a bit of chakra. Guys? Is there anyone? Can you hear me? Naruto asked, but there was no answer. What happened to them? They are nowhere near, so they must be outside the radius of the seal. Ugh, maybe there's a clue on the battlefield. Naruto walked to the battlefield, his body starting to heal due to his natural Jinchuriki healing. The young fighter mostly found corpses splattered all over the place, many of them burned. What he found next was a bit unnerving. It was Kankuro's Kabuto puppet, or what was left of it. Oh, that's not good, Naruto thought. He scooped up the remains of the puppet and put them into a storage scroll. The Jinchuriki felt a light pull on his battle pants. He looked down and saw a little bird. The bird, though, was completely white. One of Deidara's clay birds? Naruto wondered. The little bird seemed to nod, and flew off. Hey, wait! Naruto shouted. The bird stopped and landed on a tree branch. It chirped a few times, and proceeded to fly into the same direction. It wants you to follow, Kit. The Kyuubi growled. Kyuubi, are you alright? Naruto asked. Yes, the blow was a bit tough though. Tell your blonde partner to not throw exploding birds on you, that would be very nice. The demon sneered sarcastically. I'll have to find him first. I guess this bird will lead me to them. Naruto took off, and followed the clay bird deeper into the forest. Karen groaned, her head feeling like it has been used as a drum set. She sat up, rubbed her temples and opened her eyes. She sat in a dark room. The things she saw most were iron bars. This was a prison cell. The medic tried to walk, and heard the noise of metal. Her foot was contained by a metal chain connected to the wall. Don't try anything funny with your chains, your chakra is sealed. Believe me, I tried it enough. Told a familiar voice behind her. Karen turned right to see the annoyed face of the puppet user, which was her partner, sitting against the wall. Do you know where we are? Not really, probably this bigger camp we heard about from the daimyo. I only know we're not alone. Kankuro answered, pointing behind her. Karen turned around to see the team of the bearded man they saw at the palace, sitting solemnly on the floor. She frowned at them briefly, but started looking for an escape. We have to hope Team Kurenai somehow managed to escape. With reinforcements we'll get out of here. Started Asuma quietly. What's with those? Ino inquired in the same tone, nodding her head to the other end of the cell. Those can hear you, but keep talking, we aren't even there. Kankuro said sarcastically, without any reactions other than a little chuckle from Karen. We can't just leave the brother of the Kazekage here with some bandits. How do you think Suna will react? Answered Shikamaru. Their talk was interrupted by a brief flash of sunlight. The tent they were in was briefly opened, revealing the hooded pale figure from before. So, my dear friends, we will leave this place tomorrow in the morning. Please enjoy the rest of your stay. Have a taste of our fine cuisine and a look at beautiful view. And then the figure left again after enjoying the murderous looks from the group. Whatever we do, we will have to do it quickly. Karen told Kankuro, who nodded. Naruto followed his partner to the distinct location they reached after a few minutes. It was a clearing covered in green tents, but much larger than the last one he saw. Fortunately, the thugs set up the exact same traps as before, so Naruto was able to evade them easily and get close enough to overview the situation. A dozen of them on each entrance. A dozen around the tent in the middle. I guess I'll have to try it. Thrill of the hunt. Tools of the hunt, cat's focus. Naruto hopped down from the branch into the camp, his cat's focus helping him not making a sound during his landing. The Jinchuriki quickly ran behind tent, so that he could further conceal himself from the enemy. He glimpsed a moment onto his target tent, but was surprised to see the bandits running away to one of the entrances. Boom! In a gigantic bowl of fire, much of the eastern entrance of the camp was annihilated. Naruto almost wasn't surprised to see a blonde man sitting on a big white bird. Strangely, Deidara seemed to nod to him, as if he knew where he was, and immediately began to throw clay bombs into the ascending crowd on the trees. I guess that's my cue, Naruto thought, and ran into the big tent in the middle of the camp. He quickly scanned the tent and saw Karen and Kankuro on one side, and Shikamaru, Chuji, Ino and Asuma on the other side, all of them looking at the moving curtains expectantly. Guys, you're here. I'm sorry for the fight back then, Naruto yelled/whispered. We'll talk about it later, the important thing is that you found us. Karen shouted/whispered as well. Naruto quickly went to open the door of his companions, until he felt his leg was grabbed. Naruto was pulled down, and the hands tried to strangle him. Strange enough, the hands seemed to come out of the ground. Chuzai flew through the curtains and pulled on one hand while picking on the other hand. They then disappeared back into the ground. Naruto rolled backwards and picked up two swords, while his eagle landed on his shoulder. Then, the whole figure instead of the hands rose from the ground. It was the hooded pale figure, which now stood in between Naruto and the cage. The hell are you? Naruto asked. You'll know soon enough, Yoko. The figure said, charging at Naruto. Naruto clashed swords with the figure's arms. It was a strange fight for the hunter. This person's moves were really unorthodox, nothing like any known fighting style. Naruto quickly adapted to his opponent, and started to almost land swift, close strikes. The figure jumped back and sunk into the ground. We'll see about that. Tools of the hunt, mole's breakthrough. Naruto dived hands first into the ground and quickly traveled through the earth, colliding with the figure and shattering the earth. When both figures noticed they couldn't really harm each other in the earth, they both jumped out of the ground simultaneously. Both figures breathed heavily, and Naruto clutched his hurting wrists. The sunlight briefly came up, revealing another Konoha team. It was Team Kurenai, looking very out of breath. Probably from running away from Deidara's bombs. Our time needs yet to come, Yoko, the figure said, disappearing into the ground. Naruto eyed the free Konoha team suspiciously and vice versa, daring the other side to make a move. The Jinchuriki started to talk. I take my people and you take yours. For all I care, we never saw each other. Kurenai nodded once, and Naruto cut open the cage with a clean sword strike, while his sword shimmered a bright red. Deidara came through the curtains as well, looking exhilarated. Your carriage has arrived, mesdames et messieurs, the Bokuden user said, holding open the curtains for his team. Merci beaucoup, Karen replied sarcastically, but with a genuine smile. Kankuro and Naruto followed behind them, leaving the reuniting Konoha squad behind. The desert hunt hopped onto the bird and ascended into the air, escaping from the burning camp. Wait, we forgot to look through their camp. Maybe there was something of value there, Naruto shouted. Already one step ahead of you, Deidara said, giving Naruto a collection of papers. Nothing of direct value, but a bounty contract, and we're lucky. Whoever those guys were, they probably have no rights among the mercenaries of Suna. So now, rightfully, this contract is ours, Deidara explained. Sweet, Kankuro yelled. Okay, let's see through this. Naruto mumbled. Land of Waves. So, those people thought this Utakata was hiding somewhere in the Land of Waves, and that's why they set up their camps and terrorized our population. Tazuna summarized, and Karen nodded. Exactly. This contract says that every step necessary has to be taken. It's a contract from the Six, Kankuro told. The Six? Naruto asked, confused. The Six are probably the biggest client for bounty hunters. They offer the most high-risk, high-reward missions of all the clients out there, mostly for people with special powers. No one ever saw them in person, they only ever send around their servants to discuss the details of the contract. Kankuro explained. So the guy I fought against was hired by those Six? Naruto asked. No, I have reason to believe he actually is one of the servants. The way he talked, how he was able to go into the ground, and how he called you Yoko as if he knew of your powers. I don't believe this guy was a regular mercenary, Karen answered. We can discuss the details later, Deidara finished. I guess it's time for our payment first. You're right, Tazuna said, grabbing a suitcase from one of his servants. For destroying not only one, but both of the enemy camps, you have your reward of 10.000 Ryo. Thank you for your service, the Land of Waves and me personally are very grateful. Enjoy your stay, and please come to visit us soon. Thank you, Gigi. I will remember it. Naruto nodded, and left the palace with his team, back in the Namikaze mansion. So guys, I think we have to address the obvious, Naruto started after a bit of awkward silence. We weren't really acting like a team. I guess I have to take the responsibility for that. To just start a sandstorm without giving you a heads up or some possibility to actually do something in it is entirely my fault. Naruto finished sadly. Well, Deidara started. Maybe I shouldn't have just started to throw bombs onto everything that moved, yeah? We could have communicated better, Kankuro told the group while repairing his Kabuto puppet. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't have ripped apart your puppet then, Karen said, rubbing her temples. So, we need to do something about it. I can start to work on a seal that gives you vision in a sandstorm, Naruto declared. I can set up a team training for us against clones, and it will teach you dodge the explosions of my art as well, Deidara told. A running track would be nice. We all need some more condition, Karen added. I can help with that. I know a few places that let your hearts beat faster, if you ever reach them, Kankuro finished. Then we know what we will do whenever we have time. What about him? Naruto asked, waving around the bounty contract for Utakata. What's his last known location? Karen started. Apparently, he was seen close to Suna, Kankuro said, looking through the information he ordered from the Suna police. Yeah, a little village just around the corner. But wait, if this dude is here, then why were those thugs from before in Nami no Kuni? Deidara asked. Wait, Naruto, you had this letter from someone named right? About how he won't do a job until the price is appropriate? Kankuro asked. Yeah, what about it? Naruto asked. Everyone has access to this information. Those thugs could have easily find out where Utakata actually was. You mean that they weren't there to catch Utakata? Naruto asked. No, I don't think so. They probably found a price. This contract is just a copy. The camps from before were a trap, Kankuro deduced, looking unnerved. A trap for who? Naruto asked. I think for you, Karen answered. Who would set up a trap for me? Who was the one who offered you this contract, Kankuro? Naruto asked. We'll go to Utakata. Whoever we'll find there as well has the answers for us. Kankuro finished, already packing up his equipment. I guess you're right. Let's go, Naruto added, while everyone took their weapons and equipment, and Deidara prepared his bird. Everyone hop on, Deidara instructed. The bird took off into the distance. It took them only a minute to reach a small village, which already burned. They saw a gigantic fissure in the ground, fire spreading over the houses and bubbles. Let's jump off and see what's going on there, Naruto said, dropping himself off the bird with his team after it sank low enough. They saw 3 figures in the distance. One of them, apparently the one creating the fissures, escaped into it and disappeared. The other two figures didn't seem to mind and proceeded to fight. When they were 10 meters away, they saw the two figures. One had middle-long brown hair that covered one yellow-orange, tired-looking eye. He wore a blue robe and had a yellow-orange flute. He was surrounded by bubbles, which seemed to come out of his flute. The other one had red hair similar to Naruto's. His emerald-green eyes looked just as lazy as the ones of the other man, and his skin was just as pale. He wore a black robe, with red clouds on it. Strings came out of his hands that were connected to puppets exactly like Kankuro. The two men stopped fighting and looked at the group. Sasori? Kankuro shouted enraged, already equipping his puppets. Kankuro. The red-haired man, apparently named Sasori, said in a calm voice. He met eyes with everyone, and stopped when he saw Deidara. Deidara, he said, in the same monotone voice. Sasori. What are you doing here? Deidara said, readying his bombs. You should know that very well, traitor. You do still remember what this robe means, what it once meant to you? Sasori asked. I prefer not to. Guys, you have to watch out for him, he is a very dangerous fighter. I know that. Kankuro said, his puppets already out. Are you Utakata? Naruto asked the other fighter. Yes. He answered in a calm, but slightly tired voice. Then I know exactly what we'll do to him. Naruto said, pointing at Sasori. He drew his swords and let them shine red. The Kyuubi, hello? It's an honor to meet you. I'm sorry, but you'll have to follow me. I don't know who you are, and how you know who I contain, but believe me, we won't have to worry about that for too long. Desert Hunt, attack! The four of them attacked. Naruto directly dove into close combat. Karen and Kankuro attacked from the distance with their chains and puppets, and Deidara hopped back onto his bird. Sasori jumped back and unleashed one of his puppets. Satetsu Kaiho. Iron Sand, unleash! Watch out, they will come from everywhere. Deidara yelled and ascended further into the air. Kankuro, Karen, stay behind me. Futon, Kaze no Cabe. Wind Style, Wind Wall. The spikes of iron colluded with the wall of wind torrents. Naruto noticed that the strength of the iron will probably overpower his wall soon. How dare you to use a Kazekage as one of your puppets, traitor! Kankuro yelled enraged. The Jinchuriki grabbed a kunai from his purse and threw it up to his partner Deidara, who attempted to bomb through Sasori's puppets. Deidara, Naruto whispered through his communication seal, throw it behind him. His airborne partner obliged and threw the kunai to miss Sasori by a few inches, therefore embedding itself in the sand. Suddenly, Naruto disappeared in a flash of yellow light, and instantly reappeared behind Sasori, meanwhile performing an X-scissor motion to decapitate Sasori. Sasori was barely able to dodge sideways and roll himself away, but therefore his iron spikes disappeared. You'll go nowhere. Yantoryu, Bangado Eji. Four-sword style, Vanguard's Edge. The Jinchuriki threw out all of his four swords at extreme speed against Sasori. The original swords bounced back into his hands and holsters. Behind Sasori's back was a brief explosion of light. From the explosion, duplicates of his sword left and embedded themselves blade up into the sand around Sasori, creating an arena which only had one open point, directly behind Naruto. Karen and Kankuro, hold him. Deidara, throw everything you've got. Come on, Puppet Master, it's just you and us. You don't even know who you're having with you, do you? Deidara was a part of the organization I was with. We hunt people like you and Utakata, and you talk to him like he is your ally. Sasori laughed, deflecting the blows of the enemies with his puppets. Karen, Kankuro, now! Naruto shouted, dropping a few of his fire seal papers onto the ground in front of him. Chuzai, your turn. Tools of the hunt, Eagle Claws. His partner descended from the air and struck the puppets restrained by Karen and Kankuro with his extended claw. Naruto blew a little wind onto the ground in front of him to blow the sand into Sasori's face and blind him briefly. Karen, Kankuro, pull the puppets down. Deidara, throw everything there's left. Sasori's Kazekage puppet shot out its spikes again, hitting everyone besides Deidara multiple times. Come on, Deidara! Naruto coughed. The Bokuten user threw a rain of clay bombs onto Sasori, who was still partially blinded by the sand. He tried rubbing off the sand with his hand, until he noticed he also had paper in his face. Then, both Deidara and Naruto yelled in unison. Ha! Moetsukuru! The clay and Kyuubi fire seals exploded directly in front of Sasori's face, clay explosions mixing with the crimson fire of the Nine Tails. Meanwhile, the sword arena as well as the iron spikes disappeared again, leaving the wounded bodies of Karen, Kankuro, and Naruto. Deidara landed and quickly scooped up Naruto, Karen and Kankuro, getting them out of the smoke. Everyone was hurt, but Naruto already started to heal from the Kyuubi. Karen was able to partially save herself from the spikes with her chains, but Kankuro was still hurt pretty badly. We have to get him help, quickly, said Naruto, who already stood up again, but still on wobbly feet. I can help him, said Karen. Kankuro, bite my wrist. Karen, you don't have to do this. Kankuro coughed, with blood leaving his mouth. No, do it. We're a team, I want to help you, Karen said sternly. Kankuro sighed and bit Karen's wrist. His wounds started to close. With new power, Kankuro jumped up and hugged Karen. Thank you, Karen, I feel awesome. Karen smiled and hugged him back, saying you're welcome. Well, isn't that sweet? Asked a voice from the smoke which started. You're shitting me, right? Naruto asked, drawing his two swords again. His team got back into their stances, and Deidara jumped back onto his bird. When the smoke cleared, the desert hunt saw Sasori again, but he didn't look human anymore. He looked like a puppet. Sasori, what the hell did you do? Kankuro asked incredulously. What does it look like, little one? I welcome you all to my ultimate puppet show, Sasori announced, releasing 100 puppets. I don't think we can handle this, guys. It is said he single-handedly invaded a country like that. We need help. Deidara started. Wait, what's with Utakata? Karen asked. Everyone looked around, and spotted him already in the distance, running away. Quick, on the bird. We have to get to him, Naruto yelled. The team jumped on the bird, with Sasori quickly following. There is no escape, he yelled, laughing like a maniac. They took off at extreme speed, quickly catching up to Utakata and landing in front of him. The former Kuririn immediately got into a defensive stance. Utakata, calm down, we're not here as enemies. Naruto started. I think that bounty contract in Yao Pocket won't agree with you. Utakata countered. I would calm down, little slug. This kid contains the 9 tails, Kyuubi. I think whatever he offers, it is genuine. The 6 tails said in Utakata's mindscape. You're a Jinchuriki? Utakata asked. Naruto briefly closed his eyes, and responded in Kyuubi's voice. Well, the 6 tails. Perceptive as ever. Deidara chimed in as well. Sasori is part of the Akatsuki, an organization that hunts Jinchuriki like you to extract the tailed beasts, and use their power. We should work together, it's our only possible chance of survival, even though you will have to explain a lot when we are finished here. Naruto started, eyeing Deidara intensely. He's right. Please, Utakata. We will do everything to protect you, if you are willing to do as well. I will never let someone be hurt who has a bijou. He finished, extending his hand. Utakata thought very hard for a few moments, but extended his hand as well and shook Naruto's. Okay, what is our plan? Sasori wants the bijou. I think we should give him the bijou, Naruto said, releasing one tail. The edges of his eyes grew more black, his fangs, even though invisible, grew longer and sharper, and his nails got longer and sharper. Utakata nodded and released one tail as well. We'll show him what we can do. Sanigekyo no Jutsu. Hidden sand jutsu. Naruto, we still can't see through your sand. Kankuro reminded. Just trust me. Hide in the sandstorm. I will distract him. When you think the time is right, engage. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki answered, getting down in a meditating position, while his first chakra tail flared with energy. Everyone nodded and hid in the sandstorm circling around Naruto, only leaving a tiny bit open so that Sasori could enter the circle. After a minute, Sasori already caught up, bringing his army of puppets with him. I'm intrigued. Tell me, how did you know it was me? Naruto asked Sasori, still sitting there with closed eyes and flaring chakra. A spy in Odogekure. You used your bijou chakra there already? You did really well at hiding, but now we know you are alive, and we know exactly where you are hiding. There is no escape from us. Naruto opened his eyes and stood up. Calmly, he let the Kyuubi's chakra flow into his shoulder blades, growing out 2 more arms. Sasori watched with fascination as Naruto drew out all 4 of his swords and went into his battle stance, while saying, You will find our will equal to yours. Our?